revealed our great leaders. It revealed how much time and talent they were investing. It revealed their focus and growth levels. It revealed that they knew more families than ever were counting on us. Just 1 year into our decade of dominance, we have already reached many goals and checked off many boxes. We had an amazing 15 teammates go over the $1 million milestone, and we won over $100 million earners mid-year. We reached our goal of over $100 billion in annual face amount issued in 2020, one of only 10 companies in history to ever do this. We won over $7.6 billion in investment sales, another all-time record. We also had momentum like never before. Field cash increased by 20%, paying out more than $970 million. A 40% increase in watches, more than 450. A 77% increase in rings amounted to over 300 plus. And over 550 diamonds achieved in 2020. To lend to our reputation and credibility, Primerica also received many awards throughout the year. Deliver record success.
Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the 4th RVP meeting to kick off 2021 at Primerica. I've been particularly excited about this event as we combine the great leadership in the Midwest and the Northwest, so you get a chance to hear from some great leaders from across that part of the country that maybe you don't get to hear from all the time, and also to combine the great talent of the RVP in those two areas. You know, in every RVP locker room, every month, I talk about the importance of the field leadership and the company leadership coming together, even if it's for just that 1 hour a month, so that we can share a common vision for the success of Primerica as a company and Primerica as a field force. And so today, I want to let you know that it's an honor for me to lead alongside each and every one of you every day. That's the way I view it, is we don't have leaders in front of leaders. We've got a long group of leaders all standing shoulder to shoulder, locked arms, leading this great company. And I want you to know that every regional vice president is important. There are no junior RVPs at Primerica. I remember hearing Art Williams say that 40 years ago, and I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. Every RVP is necessary for this company to win. You're an important leader of this company. Thank you for joining us today. And I want you to know that I appreciate every day your commitment of your time, your focus, and your leadership to make this great company successful. In the next 3 hours or so, I'll be joined by the great Peter Schneider and Julie Seaman and about a dozen great field leaders who are going to be sharing with you the information and inspiration you need to create transformation in 2021. And I'm excited to be able to do that. You know, the slides that I'll be using today and other leaders will be using today are already posted on POL. If you go out to the senior leadership meeting, we've updated some of the slides with their numbers since they've been finalized since last week. And so if any of these slides are useful for you in training or using with your team, please go grab those and take advantage of them. I want to start out with a quick review of 2020, the most incredible year in the 44 years of our company. You know, 12 months ago, we launched not just a new year, we launched a new decade. We called it the Decade of Dominance because we wanted to talk about a 10-year vision that everybody wanted to be a part of. You may recall we put out about 15 milestones that we said sometime during the decade, we want to celebrate these great achievements, not to stop at that point and say our job is done, but to touch these milestones and keep on moving to the next one. I love this report card format because it shows you exactly where we are at the end of 2020 on every single one of these milestones. And you'll notice there are two that are in green because in the first year of the Decade of Dominance, we blew through the 100 billion face amount milestone to over 109 billion, and we smashed $100 million earners all the way to 110 at the end of 2020. Quite frankly, I thought it would be 2021 or 2022 before we ever achieved any of these milestones. And already, because of your leadership, we've checked off two, and you'll notice there are a bunch of others that are in the high 90s%. So congratulations on that. But as we look in more detail at what you accomplished, we'll start where we always start at Primerica, and that's with distribution. You can see the numbers on the slide. You've probably seen them before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about what this slide says. I want to talk to you about what it means. You see, when you think that over 400,000 people raised their hand and said, I want to give Primerica a shot in a single year, you've got to come to the conclusion that our opportunity is more appealing than it's ever been. Something happened where people woke up and said, I want to be a part of this thing called Primerica in record numbers. We need to understand that and understand why. The licensing lines indicate how adaptable our business model is and how tough you are as leaders, because let's be honest, licensing was more screwed up than it's ever been in 2020. And yet you set records in the number of new life licenses, or at least we're in record territory, and the size of our security sales force in spite of the difficulties. That's what that slide means. Congratulations. Of course, distribution dominance leads directly to production dominance. And you know we've set records throughout our business in 2020. You see them up on the screen. Again, that's what the slide says. You can read those. Let me tell you what it means. Those top two lines mean that we're protecting families like no other company in North America. Nobody stands in the gap for the middle market like Primerica does when it comes to protection. The middle two lines on claims demonstrate that we're delivering. We're not just protecting, we're actually delivering in a great time of need at a record level, all the way to 1.7 billion in claims paid in a year. Folks, when we started tracking this, we were way under $1 billion. We're approaching 2 now. And our total claims paid since as far back as our records go to almost 26 billion. So congratulations on delivering for families. The bottom two lines demonstrate that we're preparing for families' futures. Congratulations to our investment leaders. I don't know how you did it in a year of maximum disruption, but you set sales records and assets under management records, and I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on all those fronts. Of course, that activity led directly to compensation dominance, and I'm so excited and so proud of this slide that you're looking at right now. Starting with the big red box at the bottom, $971 million of comp paid in a single year, up 19%, and $155 million more than the $815 million that was our record last year. We're going from record to record, but we're not just barely eking out a win on those records. We're blowing them away. Look at this top box, our life cash. I asked them to put the big, the big starburst up there, 30% increase in life insurance cash in 1 year, well over $500 million a year in life insurance cash. You know why I wanted them to put that 30% up there? I checked the history books, and the last time we grew life insurance cash by 30% in a year was 1985 over 1984. When we were paying out a couple of $100 million in life cash, we could grow at 30%. You grew at 30% when we're paying out over $500 million. And notice the details. That end of term line. You remember in 2017 when we had to make some very tough changes to end of term, very difficult. And we said we're doing that to serve the client long term and to preserve a $39 million cash flow stream at Primerica. Well, it's not $39 million anymore. Now it's over $43 million. You've actually grown that line of business since that change. And of course, IBR is one of the fastest growing parts of life comp. Our securities comp, investment comp, almost $400 million, an all-time record, with almost 40% of it being recurring comp that you're being paid for doing the right thing for clients in years past. Congratulations on that. And then, of course, things like our new mortgage program set a record, PLPP set a record, drove those other products. Congratulations. And I'm so excited and so pleased that we can deliver for you and your families at a record level when you deliver for middle-income families. And as much as I love to look at those company numbers, I get more excited about looking at the milestones you achieve. And this slide, folks, is truly, it's almost mind-blowing. When you think about the fact that we set all these records in 2019, and then we reset them in 2020, but not with a 5% or 10% or 20% growth rate, we blew these records out of the water. 465 new first-time $50,000 earners, up 50% over the old record. 313 new $100,000 earners, up almost 100% over the old record. And then 600 new diamonds awarded, up over 200% over the old record. Folks, that's almost 1,400 milestones that happened in a year with 366 days. That's almost 4 a day. Each and every day in 2020, almost 4 a day, including weekends and holidays, we were having Primerica leaders achieve milestones like never before. That's why we're blessed to be part of this great organization. But of all the slides I could use to demonstrate 2020, this is my favorite. It's our 15 new $1 million earners, almost double the old record. I think our record was 8 in a year, all the way back to the beginning of time, and we did 15 this year. I'm excited about the numbers, but I'm more excited about who these leaders are. You see, I have the blessing and the honor of knowing these leaders personally. They're great people. They're great couples. They're great partnerships. They're great parents, in addition to being great leaders. And in addition to that, they come from every walk of life, every culture, every color, every accent, both countries, both genders, every level of experience or lack of experience, every level of past success or every level of no past success. There's somebody up here that represents you, that should give you faith and courage and excitement that in 2021, you can fight your way and become a $1 million earner, just like someone like you did before you. I'm so excited. Congratulations to all these leaders. And then, of course, we've got a lightning start to 2021 already this year. We've added a new $1 million earner, a 111th $1 million earners, the great Carlos and Monica Leon. Congratulations to them just from this week. So excited that this is not a 2020 phenomenon. This is an everyday phenomenon at Primerica and something we're going to celebrate many times in 2021. You know, I was thinking about just how fast we're growing and succeeding today. So I asked the numbers gurus, I said, can you just take all of our $1 million earners and put them in 3 groups, a third, a third, a third, and let's talk about how fast the first third was created, the second third, and the third third. And here's what they came up with. It took us 25 years to create our first $37 million earners. It only took us 14 years to create the next 36. And in the last 5 years, we've created 38. Look at how fast we're moving. Look at the trajectory, the velocity of the growth. This is the time, if you ever wanted to run, to become a $1 million team, a $1 million hierarchy, a $1 million leader, this is the time to do it because it's never happened like it's happening today. You know, cash is the most important part of our compensation system. It's the biggest part, but remember the letters CEO, cash, equity, and ownership. And here's our equity program. I'm so excited, folks. If you look over on the right-hand side of this slide, you see that we're at almost $500 million, almost $500 million of value has been awarded to families of regional vice presidents, actually to RVPs and their families, through just this program. 86% of all RVPs have participated. And I'm excited that this program does something that no other company does anywhere we can find evidence of throughout North America. But the record production in 2020 sure put some stresses on this program. So we called together a field working group, and then we worked with a field advisory council to overcome some challenges that we identified. You can see the 3 biggest ones on this slide. First of all, the program kept hitting the cap. If you're involved in the program, you know that. I mean, you can see in the second quarter, our biggest quarter ever, we had to reduce awards by 37% across the board. Everybody, after their award was calculated, we haircut it by 37% to keep it within the rules of the program. That means if you were supposed to get a check for $1,000, you got a check for $630. How exciting is that? Not a check, but an equity award. And then we found out that the way the program was built, that the $3 million cap was actually working against us, because in quarters that weren't capped, we couldn't carry forward the excess to a quarter that needed it. And then finally, on the bottom of this slide, the number one complaint I got about the program was RVPs being kicked out in a quarter because they didn't meet the $2,500 a month base shop requirement. So we called a group together. We said, hey, let's attack this. Let's improve it. Here's what we've come up with. It's already in effect right now for the first quarter. We've changed that to an annual limit, so that those quarters that don't hit the cap, we can use that excess in other quarters, folks. And that added in a normal year between $500,000 and $1 million a year in awards that we can give out to RVPs that earn those. We found out that wasn't enough, though, when we started modeling. We went to the board and we said, we need another $1 million to this program. We know that this is a program that impacts shareholders, so we need board approval. And they gave us another $1 million. So now we can bring the total program up to $13 million a year. We changed that RVP premium requirement from $2,500 a month to $7,500 a quarter. That doesn't sound like much of a change until you look at the underlying dynamics and realize how many RVPs were striking out on one strike when they were actually getting a hit if you included the other 2 months of the quarter. We did have to reduce some of the awards in order to bring the program under the cap. So we looked at the smallest awards available. They were the division awards and the RVP awards, not that go to divisions and RVPs, but they go to you, divisions and regional leaders. They go to RVPs who produce divisions and RLs. And those were very small. So we said, let's take those off the board, and that will increase the focus on new licenses and district leaders and RVPs. And then we also reduced the QSNSD award by 25 basis points. Here's what that did for us. When we made those changes, it truly changed the program. Look at the results. Okay, first of all, as we ran them through the actual premium that you did in the first 2 quarters of 2020 to see how it really works, not theory, we saw that it did increase the payout to $13 million a year versus the old program of $12 million a year. It also brought the caps under control. We were completely under the cap in first quarter, so there would have been no haircut. And in our biggest quarter ever, there would have only been a 12% haircut instead of a 37%. But then look at the center line, because it could mean the most to the most of the listeners right now. By changing that $2,500 a month requirement to $7,500 a quarter, you can do it all in 1 month. You can do it all in 1 day. It doesn't matter. You don't have to spread it out, $2,500 a month. Added 450 RVP qualifiers who received 630 awards that they would not have gotten under the old rules. I'm so proud of that. We have truly made this a program that everyone can participate in. And then we check for how many were up and how many were down. 75% were up, 25% were down under the new rules, and those that were down weren't down very much. And so our field working group and the field advisory council said, this is better, let's do this. And so that's in play right now. I wanted you to know that, but more importantly, I wanted you to make a commitment in 2021 to make sure that you run your business every quarter so you qualify for equity. Build wealth for your family. You decide to participate in this program. So that's cash and equity. Let's not forget ownership, because I'm also proud of our ownership program. Over half of our RVPs are owners now, and more than 3,000 leaders. 300 moved up or moved in last year, and 130 of those went all the way to full ownership. You're building a valuable business. Qualify for ownership, so that not so that you can sell it, but so that you can keep it for generations. That's what Primerica is all about. So that's a quick look at last year. Now let's turn our focus to year 2 of the decade of dominance, the year where our mission is delivering record success. How in the world are we going to do that? Why can we do that? Let's take a look at why we're better off today than we were in 2021. We're better in every way as an organization. We're better positioned where we are on the field. We're more skilled in our position after what we succeeded through last year. We've got better reaction time. We can change faster in the face of future challenges, and there will be future challenges. And I believe most important of all, it was exposed and revealed last year like never before that everything we do is more relevant than it's ever been before in our history as a company. But we have to have a game plan. We have to have an approach. And I want to share this with you because it's a new year, and the human mind, being the negative organism that it is, tends to work toward negatives first. You know, most New Year's resolutions are about negatives. They're about what I didn't do, how I failed, the mistakes I made. And yeah, those are important. But if we're going to succeed at a bigger level in 2021, we have to do this in order. And first, we build on our successes and strengths. We identify what we're doing right. We do more of those. We play to our strengths, and we know what those strengths are. And we say we're going to design everything we do around the things that make us great. And after we maximize that impact, then we're going to look at our imperfections, and there are a bunch of them. Then we're going to look at our mistakes, and there are quite a few of those as well. And we're going to attack those to become better, but only after we focus on our strengths first. Let me give you an example of how we're doing that. It's our Next Gen Life project. I don't know if you've stayed plugged into this. We talk about it almost every meeting. It's a 3 or 4 year project where we're looking at every part of our life insurance product and process to make them all better. And the results of what we want to accomplish here, folks, in that middle line, it says we want to generate excitement and confidence. We want to bring emotion back to the life insurance business when it comes to how we feel about our life insurance products. See, we want to bring the crusade back. We want people to fall in love with our life insurance product and business again. And the bottom line in the red is that our goal is to do more business than we've ever done, protect more families with a record amount of coverage, and get back on the trail to where we deserve to be. And that's number one in our business. It's not an easy path, and I want to share the struggles with you as well as the victory. So one of the things we've been dealing with behind the scenes is we've known for a couple of years that we had some mispricing in our Term Now product. And that's driven because of the lower interest rate environment that we've been a part of and the worsening mortality that we've been experiencing in certain areas of our business over the last few years. And our plan up to this point has been to absorb these pressures. And really, we hadn't even talked about it with the field. It wasn't necessary. But I wanted you to be aware as RVPs that we're taking some action to deal with this. I actually covered in great detail at the senior leadership meeting. And after today's broadcast, you're going to receive a text from the company that has my entire senior leadership talk. It's about 20 minutes that explains all the details about this. So rather than duplicate that, I'm just going to give you a couple of highlights today. But what happened was late last year, our reinsurers, our great partners and allies in our life insurance business, we love our reinsurers. They came forward and said, look, we've got rate increases coming because of the low interest rate environment and the mortality issue. It was focused primarily on our non-tobacco and tobacco use term now business, not elsewhere. And it's too large for us to just absorb and ignore and try to deal with offsets in other areas. And so rather than waiting until we price the next gen product in the next 18 months or so, we're going to need to go ahead and deal with this sooner than that. And that's going to clear us a runway so we can really do some great things with next gen when it's rolled out. So here's our game plan. We're going to introduce a rate change that impacts only U.S. term now, non-tobacco and tobacco user business. That's about a third of total U.S. sales, about half our term now sales. The amount of the rate change is 15%, but then offset by us moving more people into our cheaper select rates. And so you can see at the bottom, overall, that's about a 7% increase, and you can kind of see how it lays out. Now, that's what it affects. It's even more important to understand what it doesn't impact, because that's a much larger group of people on the right-hand side of this slide. First, has no impact on any existing policyholders. Any policy in force before this rate change, it does not apply at all. It has no impact on our custom advantage rates. So we're not changing our custom advantage rates at all. It has no impact on Canada because they have a very different mortality profile. Healthiest people in the world seem to live in Canada, so they don't have the mortality dynamics there. And it does not impact our U.S. term now select rates. It's only U.S. term now, non-tobacco user and tobacco user rates. Here's the time frame. And again, full details on that video coming to you via text link at the end of the day today. We expect the price change to occur on May the 1st. So that means policies issued on or after that date would be affected. And we'll change Quick Quote and the other sales tools a few weeks before that so that you've got the quoting capability under the appropriate prices for sales that you'll make in May. So that's one of the challenges. But there are 1,000 things that are good news. Julie is going to run through a whole list of good news coming out of the next gen process with you in just a few minutes. But I want to share one with you because I don't believe it's good news. It's great news. And I believe it truly is a 44-year dream come true because we've been looking for this opportunity since the beginning of this company. As you know, we've always had unisex rates at Primerica. And that means females and males are charged the same rate, even though they have different mortality. And we said, yeah, but we use spouse riders and we put them all together, so it probably doesn't matter. And that's true to a certain extent, but that's happening less and less often now. We've been looking for an opportunity to give females the credit towards premium that they deserve, and we found it. And rather than waiting till next gen rolls out, we're going to introduce it in May at the same time. Females will be given positive credit for their underwriting, in the underwriting process for their superior mortality. But rather than doing sex distinct rates the old way, the way the industry's done it, this process that was designed for next gen, but it's going to be rolled out early, is to provide lower pricing for females by putting them in a better underwriting category than a male of the same health and age. So when we do this with next gen, it'll truly be revolutionary because we're going to have 9 underwriting classes. You'll be able to move people way up that qualify for better rates into better underwriting classes, including females, a ton of females. All females will get benefit of their improved mortality. But we're going to start this process. The news is on May 1, instead of waiting another 12 or 18 months to do it, so that you can get advantage of it right now. And so we can have a more competitive, better product for our female clientele. Folks, this is a huge breakthrough. So this is exciting, but you got to understand it as leaders. So we're going to give you the opportunity to do that. You can see our communication plan. We're exactly halfway through. You see in the middle line, announcement at RVP meetings. Coming up in March and April, we'll be having training broadcasts and training opportunities. The wholesalers that Julie will be talking about will be involved to help you. And then we'll start to make changes to Quick Quote in April, and we'll roll out the new rates in May. So be sure and plug in to that video. It's 20 minutes of your time. It's a great investment to understand more as leaders and then stay plugged in for more as we go. I want to spend my last few minutes with you talking about leadership thinking as we head into the new year. As we take all that success that we just talked about and studied from 2020, what does that mean for us? I think there's two ways of looking at that success. We can look at it as one-time success that'll probably never happen again. And that would be because we excelled at adapting to the unique things about 2020, and we did a great job of taking advantage of it. Aren't we great? But that's now gone, and there's no other benefit from that. I don't believe that's the right way to look at it. I don't believe that's what happened. I believe what we saw is evidence of every time success. The unique environment revealed things, revealed fundamental strengths about our business, fundamental strengths about the marketplace that have existed many years before 2020 and will exist many years after 2020. 2020 just revealed them, and we have to continue to reveal them. You can see I've listed 4 fundamental strengths of the business on this slide. Let's look at each one individually for just a second. The first fundamental strength is the client need that turned into demand. You see, I believe clients were jolted into the reality of their situation in 2020, realizing, like they'd never realized it before, that they were underprotected, underinvested, and overindebted. And because of that, suddenly we had clients that were listening to us, taking action, and committing to what we instructed them to do and coached them to do for the long term. If we give all the credit for that just to the conditions of 2020, I think we're missing it. Because now that we know that clients under the right circumstances will change their priorities, we need to be the drivers of that change. We need to have a message that's bolder and more confident. We need to be bringing the challenges that they're ignoring to their attention. Maybe the pandemic did it in 2020. Now we need to be the reminders of the crisis, not the health crisis, their financial crisis. We've got to be bolder. We've got to train ourselves and our reps to go out, talk louder, talk more often, talk with more appeal, more emotion about the challenges, and make sure that we uncover that need that's always been there that we saw in a record amount in 2020. The same's true for the appeal of our opportunity. I think what happened in 2020 revealed to almost every person that there's no good jobs, there's no good bosses, there's no good companies that can withstand anything. People found their jobs disappearing. They found their companies disappearing. And suddenly that reality made them open to an alternative game plan. And we not only offered that alternative game plan, we backed it up with a track record. We delivered. And now we have, although the environment may change and it may not be so blatant from outside causes, we've got to be the reminder of how miserable they are. With a record number of messengers and our most powerful message ever, we've got to carry it out. We got to be bolder. We got to be louder in 2021 and beyond. And then, of course, the fundamental strength we have in the adaptability of our model. I've talked about this throughout 2020, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, except to draw your attention to the very bottom line. Of all the things that make us great, all the things that make us adaptable as a business, your entrepreneurial leadership is our greatest asset. It's the secret sauce at Primerica. It's what sets us apart from all of the business models. And that's why I have confidence that whatever the next challenge is, and there will be one, it might not be a pandemic, but it'll be a challenge, that we're up to the game to be able to overcome that challenge because of your great leadership. And then the fourth fundamental strength I think that was revealed last year was the power of our compensation system. Folks, I've been around this thing a long time. I'm about to finish up my 40th year in just a couple of months and start number 41. And I've tried to be a student of this business every one of those years. And what I study when I see our compensation system, I believe could be the most amazing thing that I've ever seen about our business in that entire time. The way our comp system responded to the explosion of growth in 2020 and paid our leaders all those milestones you saw, all that cash you saw, absolutely incredible. You need to understand that so you can draw confidence from it and so you can play into it, so that you can align your business with our comp systems that work together to reward you holistically. Not every I wouldn't do our life comp system like we do it if all we sold was life. I wouldn't do our investment comp system like we did it if all we sold was investments. And I wouldn't do our mortgage comp system like we did if all we sold was mortgages. But since we do all three, we want those comp systems to work together, to fill in each other's weaknesses and play on each other's strengths. And folks, that's what it did. If you want to see the whole presentation on that, I did it at the senior leadership meeting. There's a big banner out on the POL homepage about my compensation talks. You click on that. That one's out there from a couple of days ago and 2 or 3 more from the past. I would encourage you to study this and draw strength and confidence from our business model. And so, folks, those are things that 2020 revealed about 2021 and beyond. But I get asked all the time about, Glenn, what's unique about 2021? 2020 was unique. Is there something that we as leaders need to focus on specifically for the moment in 2021? And I just happen to have a list. And I've talked about some of these already. The first thing is we got to be a lot bolder. We need to focus on our boldness. We need to tell the message that brings the things to light that maybe the environment brought to light in 2020. They're still there. We just need to reveal them in 2021. We need to have an extreme focus on licensing. You know, let's be honest with ourselves. We had a lot of victories in 2020. Licensing wasn't one of them. When it comes to permanent licensing and permanently growing the size of our sales force, the environment kicked our tails last year. It wasn't our fault. We did all we could. We fought a good battle, but states and provinces and territories shut down licensing, couldn't get a test, couldn't get a class, all the things. We need to make up that lost ground in 2021. We need to take a strong stand on our mortgage business. Folks, that business is going to be so successful. Did you realize already we have 5 leaders that have added more than $100,000 to their incomes just in that little mortgage business that we just barely rolled out? When it hits your state or province, I want to challenge you, don't cheerlead, lead. Be a leader of the mortgage business. We've got to maintain flexibility. We're not sure exactly where the new balance comes out, how much is going to be live, how much is going to be remote, how much as an office is going to be needed, and how much office space is going to be needed. There are 1,000 things that are in play. Maintain your flexibility and make sure that you don't make a decision for the short term that hurts you in the long term. And finally, as always, unity is critical at Primerica. I don't believe the biggest threat to Primerica is a pandemic, is a regulation change, is a political change, is a competitor change. I believe it comes from the inside. If we allow the division that's in the world to seep in and creep into Primerica and cause us to become divided, it will kill us. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Folks, we must think about the team when we make decisions. We must think about others before we think of ourselves when we make decisions. If you got a game plan to do something, ask yourself, if 100 people or 1,000 people decided to do what I'm going to do, would that help Primerica? Would that hurt Primerica? And we got to do things that everybody can do that help the team. Unity is at a premium. We learned a lot in 2020, folks. I'm telling you we did. But one of the things that I know is a record number of people realized in 2020 that they're not really free. They thought they were, but they found out at a rude awakening that that's not the case. And in 2021 and every year beyond, it's not that we have the answer, it's that we are the answer at Primerica. And that answer comes only through you, and that answer is freedom for families. I'm so excited to be with you today, but I'm really excited that you're going to get a chance to hear from the greatest leaders anywhere in North American business. We got the perfect field leader to kick off this segment of the program today. I call him the leader of the Chicago explosion because we absolutely exploded based in the city of Chicago in 2020, and I know it's going to be even bigger than this year. Let's go to the great Senior National Sales Director, Mike Evans.
Thank you so much, Glenn. I am pumped and excited about what's going on. I want to say praise, honor, and glory to each and every one of you all. We made it to 2021, so I'm excited about that. But one of the things I want to say right now is I want to thank right quick Glenn, Peter, Bobby, Julie, and John, and the entire home office team. You all have unbelievably did a great job. We fought like crazy to field, but you all backed us up and supported us like crazy. I also want to thank the ALC, the entire council, Ivan, John, and Camila for the role that they play in pulling us together and keeping us moving forward. But also I want to thank my awesome wife, Regina. I love you. I appreciate you. But also I want to tell you, our amazing Extreme Dream Team hierarchy, they were on fire this year, including our $3 million earners, Joe and Melissa Ward, Jeff and Lolita Mallett, and Miss Mika and John Nail Saunders. They lit it up and helped me through to move this hierarchy like crazy. But I'm excited about being part of history. What do you mean by history, Mike? We're in the history-making business right now. We saw what happened last year, and we see what's getting ready to happen this year. So we want to say with the decade of dominance. Here we go. The decade of dominance. When you all came up with that, Glenn, that was a powerful term. And now you all subtitled and said, here we are in the second year of record-breaking success. We all want to be part of that record-breaking success. So what are we going to do that? I want to let you understand that I want to congratulate, after all the movement that happened last year, we ended up recognizing our first new vice president. That was the last one in December, but we recognized him in January. I want to say congratulations to Ms. KJ Day for being our first vice president to kick it off this year under the unbelievable degrees. I'm excited excited about what you all did and where you're going. But let me tell you what my subject is. My subject today is talking about building momentum towards regional vice president. Building momentum towards regional vice president. We believe in our hierarchy this year. It's going to be the year of the regional vice president. We're excited about that. Why do you say that? We say because everybody may not want to be a vice president, but we better find some that want to be on their way in that direction. They at least want to go in that direction. What do you mean by that? I'm talking about everybody on this call. We still going to find some recruits. Whether you find 3 recruits in a month, 4 recruits in a month, whether you double-digit recruit, whether you get 100 recruits, we got to make sure we're on a team that's leading a team to get recruits going. Why is that? Because we know that's the answer. That's the beginning. So we all got to become recruiters. We've been recruiters before you were regional vice president. So we got to say, open your mouth. I don't care where I am. I'm still in a position to where I can touch bases with people. I don't even be trying to recruit people, but people will compliment. They'll say something, ask you a question. And while they say something, we got to go ahead and prospect it. We got to get a name. I'm at the airport heading to Florida, and a little girl and her dad was standing in line. And so I said, little girl, where are you going? She said, I'm going to Florida. I said, man, me too. I said, what part? She said, we're going to Fort Myers. I said, okay, I'm going in that same direction. So they got their little meal out of the line that we were in, and I got my meal. And when I got mine, the little girl said, Dad, would you mind if we wait for this guy? He's going in the same direction we're going in. I said, oh my God, this girl's recruiting me. She's 7 years old. Her name was Grace. But here's the point. I walked to the airplane with her dad and her. And as I walked to the airplane, we talked. Bottom line, prospected, got his name and number. 2 days later, I'm in Florida. I ended up recruiting a guy over the phone and Zoom. I'm just telling you, we got to go recruit, but recruiting ain't just enough. We got to recruit, but then what do we got to do then? We got to sprint them to district leader. We got to get them sprinted to district leader. You all, Glenn, that was a powerful move when you all came out with sprint to district. That's a big deal. We didn't have that when we came up, but that's a piece that we have right now. I'm still talking about building momentum toward regional vice president, because if we can get these people fighting, the key word in this game right now is believe. Can you get somebody to believe? Deacon Davis believed in me. Lloyd Tomer believed, the Tomers believed in Deacon, and the staffers believed in Lloyd Tomer. My point is this, you all, we got to get somebody to believe in us, because we believe in our teammates that helped us explode. So you got to get those people to believe that they can become a district leader, that after they get that sprint to district, though, we got to make sure we're getting them licensed. We got to get these individuals licensed. It's key. That was an area that we did not do well in last year. We got a bunch of recruits. We sprinted a lot of people to district, but we didn't get the amount of people we needed to get the license. But we're on it now. I'll tell you, we're on it. I'll tell you, I'm going to come back to that. We're on it. So we got to get these people licensed. As we get these people licensed, you know how they feel. Some of these people haven't passed the exam, and I don't know when. They haven't studied, so we got to stay with them. Make sure they're doing the right thing. Get those licensing coaches to work, man, so they can move and touch. Most of these people just got to get touched. Somebody just got to be with them to say, hey, man, you can do it, and give them the steps to do it, and we'll get more people licensed. We're going to do that. We're going to get more people licensed this month and this year. But in the process of getting them licensed, you all, the feeling that they have, when somebody get that pass on them, they feel like, man, I'm a champion. I'm a winner. I'm a star. They feel so good when they just pass the insurance exam, and get them to go get that investment license right away. So we got to get them licensed, you all, but also we got to get them independent. We got to make sure they're duplicating everything we're doing. They're watching everything we're doing, that we're not by ourselves. We're watching those individuals. They're watching us, and we get them to the point where they can do it on their own so they can become independent. But independent is just the beginning. The real deal is the field trainer piece. We got to get them to become field trainers, man. Yeah, we got them independent. They can go write an app. They can do that. But can they go carry the ball by themselves? When do we got a real district when they can promote a district and they can go to division leader? We got to get those individuals to be field trainers, because one of our RVPs just said this on the call. She said, Mike, the key to a field trainer, it's great to be a field trainer, but what you want to understand is that the field trainer is the position. It's the highest paid position before RVP, the highest paid position. They get a taste of what RVP looks like. They get a chance to see somebody can be a field trainer. They get a chance to make so much money by training other people and moving the needle. So I'm excited about getting them to field trainer. When we get them to field trainer, now they're close to the vice president position. I'm talking about building momentum to vice president. So we We got to make sure we get these people lining up to go in the direction to become a vice president, because that's where the big game is going to start. It's going to start at the regional vice president level. If all of us produce more vice presidents, it's going to grow, it's going to expand, and we're going to expand our territory. So watch this, what's happening, you all. Look at what's happening. As we get these people to vice president and they go move, somebody on this call is not yet promoted their first vice president. 2021 needs to be your year. Promote your first vice president. Promote some more so you can get to senior vice president. Promote 6 to get to NSD. Promote 9 to get to SSD. We got people being promoted left and right. We've seen experiences of people happening, and this year, people have been exploding this year. Whether you had a great year or whether you had a year that needs to be improved, go make sure you go fight to get it done. And see, let me tell you this. Glenn and the team has put some things in place for us to take advantage of. What do you mean, Coach Evans? From a licensing standpoint, they just said, we didn't have this, but we got it now. They just said, we're going to put $100 in the field training bonus piece that can set aside for those people and let them know that if they go complete their pre-license, do you know what that is? Somebody get another $100. We already give them $300 for 1 by 1, and then they also get $50 back this month or $100 in months before. But if we do this, you all, and the company see, I'm talking to the RVPs now, if we do this and the company see us getting more and more people licensed, who knows, they might keep it, they might extend it, they might continue to do it and keep that $100 out there. If it works, they testing us this month. They want to see this month. Are we going to take advantage of this? If we take advantage of it, they going to keep it, man. We going to lobby for it and keep the $100 in there because the new people getting excited and we're getting licensed people and we're getting people independent and field training. That's a big deal. But also what they put on the table, they dropped it from 124 to 74, 124 to 74. Look at this, you all, $74, $49 instead of $99. You can recruit 2 people in the same house. You recruit the wife, the husband, the kid, somebody over 18. Let's go get them. Let's move the needle. We got a chance to put them in business so they can be an entrepreneur. They got 3 to 7 streams of income they're trying to get. We can help them do that. So we want to make sure we move the needle. You know what happened the last time Glenn and the team put it in place. They put in place last time for us to go for, and they dropped it to $74 before. What happened when they dropped it to $74? We exploded. They extended it 1 more month. They extended another month. They extended. Man, I'm telling you all, we don't know what they're going to do. They want us to test. They want to test us to see if we're going to get it done. Let's run the numbers up from a recruiting standpoint, get these people licensed, but also $74. Come on now. $74. Let's go. Let's get them done. I challenge you all to make sure you do everything fast. What do you mean by that? Do it fast. The F is forget about what didn't work out last year. Forget about it. Forget about it. Let's move on from there and learn from that experience. The A in fast is be active. What do you mean? Be active. Learn and adapt to the new changes. Learn and adapt to the new changes so that you can change and get better. We had to do that with Zoom. We moved forward. We got it done. What else? The S. Have the proper state of mind. You got to control how you feel, man. Be the thermostat, not the thermometer, man. Let's go. Let's move. It's going to be some challenges happening in our life, but let's roll. And teach. The last thing, teach. Teach it when you learn it. When you learn something, go teach it. You can get it better much quicker when you go teach something. So I'm telling you, I'm pumped up. I'm excited about the convention. I know we've had to reschedule some things this year, but I'm looking forward, man. We get this convention. We're going to be excited to get everybody in place to move the needle and get where they need to be. So I'm pumped about the convention coming our way. Let's go fight like crazy. Let's compete like crazy. Let's get to that convention. I want to close out by introducing our next speaker. Our next speaker coming up to you all, they are a former paralegal person. They was a paralegal making $22,000 a year. They're IAC member. They're on the board of the Women in Primerica. They're currently a senior vice president and going for national sales director. They're a $300,000 income earner on their way to $400,000. Help me bring forth the awesome, the unbelievable, the fabulous Miss Bonnie Jardine. Bonnie, let's go. Light them up. It's your turn, my girl. It's your turn. Let's go.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Oh my gosh, lit up. Thank you so much for that great introduction. You know, being a part of the Safford hierarchy has lent us the opportunity to really build on vision, right? The whole Safford Superstars hierarchy is about vision. And I will never forget the first time that I had an opportunity to plug in with Mark Marchesani, right? He taught us the very first time, at least for me, CCMP. Clear, concise mental picture. And man, that just blew up our business. That was the information I needed to help us get to regional vice president. But man, Tom talks about that a lot. Tom Safford always talks about the vision. He taught me something very important when I was making about $200,000 a year. He said to sell by day, recruit and train by night. And man, that was something I needed to hear, because being a securities producer, I needed to know how to grow my business beyond $200,000 a year in income. Yeah. And Tom Safford's, legacy that he's been able to mentor us has been so, so important. But, another great mentor that has given me some great wisdom, Sandy Azapovic. I had done a women's event with her up in Canada, and she said something to me that really hit to my soul. And she said, you need to build a hierarchy, because someday you're going to have grandkids, and you're going to want to have time with those grandkids, have time and money and resources to do that. And that was when our focus really went into overdrive. We wanted to go for being a builder. We wanted to have our next promotion, which was SVP, right? So a lot of this growth started, believe it or not, from a Facebook post. Some good friends of ours, Nathan and Melanie Braley from the Relentless Hierarchy, Ian Pruckner's Hierarchy in Detroit, Michigan, had put a post on Facebook to his friends saying, hey, if you were going to take a trip across the United States, where would you go and what would you do? Now, coming from Wyoming, okay, the least populated state in all of the United States, I'm like, hey, you need to come to Wyoming because we have great things here. We have Devil's Tower and Yellowstone National Park. We're really close to Mount Rushmore. You need to come out and see us. They planned a trip to come visit our state only for just a couple of days. But in the mentoring, the shared mentorship, I was showing them how to build their securities business, and we received so much mentoring from them on how to have a building mindset. They took that 3-day trip into almost 2 weeks. It was unbelievable, right? And here's something that they said to me that I thought was really pivotal. If you can get a securities bonus, why don't you flip the switch to be a builder? And if you're a builder and you were getting those builders bonuses through premium, imagine what your income could do. So we have a little mantra that we say, the Braleys and us, they're going for 2, 3, 4. We're going for 4, 5, 6, right? Those are diamond movements. And we're super excited about what that's going to do, right? So from that mentorship, we had a division leader on our team, CJ Campbell, who had been a division for a few years, kind of stuck there. After having a builder mindset take off with the help of the Braleys, she in 45 days had went from division to our regional vice president, right? She was our 3rd regional vice president, which kind of positioned us for going for the SVP title, right? So, helping her get those goals is what helps us get our goals. Because let's face it, if you're all RVPs, right, and you're just an RVP, you're going to need the help of a team and getting them to RVP in order for you to get your next promotion. Senior Vice President, National Sales Director, Senior National Sales Director. I know that we have so much momentum going on our team. We're going to be National Sales Directors by convention this year. But here's a plea to some of you that are out there. If you're a securities producer, kind of like I was, do yourself a favor. You can grow your income in lots of different ways, but partner up with somebody that's a builder, right? Let's put our egos aside about how good we are in a certain side of the business, grow in other areas, and everybody achieves more, right? So if you're a securities producer, plug into a true builder that does recruits and premium and see what that can do for your business. But the same is in return. If you're a builder, you're great at recruits and premium. Why not grow your income, grow your organization by incorporating a mindset of having some securities as part of that, right? Let's not pass judgment. Let's all get better. Let's grow. And this is a plea that everybody needs to work on their licensing, right? Growth is really in the proof of licensing. So we need to get all those licenses. Not just our life license, but we need to get all the securities licenses, right? And we need to have that as a vision for the team. So the team is going to take on your vision or a version of that. So if your vision is really solely focused on just recruits and premium, you're probably going to be missing some of those people, those recruits that maybe want to take their direction to securities, right? Or if you have a securities mindset and you recruit a rock star, maybe they want to take their direction in the way of premium and helping families, right? But this is also a shout out to all the women out there. As Mike Evans said, I'm on the board of directors for Women in Primerica. That is my passion. I love being a part of that. What Karen Hutto and Julie Seaman does for us is incredible, right? It's unbelievable. But as women, we are now recruiting more women than we are men, right? So we need to get better at having more licensed agents, more securities licensed agents. I would love nothing more than to have these wonderful security strips and have more women attend them, right? So if we can increase our numbers in recruiting, we can increase our numbers in licensing, we can increase our numbers as women in the securities industry as well. Remember, we want to take our excuses to an expansion, right? We can all expand our team, expand our vision, but taking that expansion to explosion is a whole nother ball of wax. And that's what I'm asking all of you to do. We all can step up and do a little bit more. And with Zoom, it allows us that opportunity to, have the comforts of home, right? I mean, how many people do we know that are dressed up from the waist up and they're wearing yoga pants or shorts below, right? Zoom has given us an opportunity to build beyond our reach of Wyoming. I told you Wyoming was the least populated state. Our community has 30,000 people. There are currently 7 regional vice presidents in our community of 30,000 people, right? How are we doing that? How can we possibly continue to keep growing where people are putting on watches and rings? Congratulations to Andrew and Tabitha Norton for getting their Power Builder watch. Last month was awesome. We promoted Shannon Arliss to regional vice president last month. We're still growing in a town of 30,000 people. How do you do that? Through Zoom. And Primerica is ahead of the curve on this. You can expand in many areas. You can have offices in many areas. You can promote RVPs in many areas, right? A conversation that I had with Tom Safford, which was a really serious one for us, was he said, you need to move to a bigger city. The only way for you to get big and get promoted is to be in a big city. And we have, plans of moving to Arizona. We've got great friends that are in Arizona that we wanted to be a part of. We had an office that we shared with the Suttons and with Ree Perez and, recruited a rock star down there, and things were beginning to pick up steam, but it was really weighing on my mind. Like, I don't want to leave the house that I raised my kids in and I love, right? Then the pandemic happens and all of a sudden my mindset changed. Who says I can't expand everywhere? Who says I can't expand and open offices in Arizona and Florida and Oregon and all these great places? We can do that because Primerica was ahead of the curve. I can't tell you how many financial offices here in our small town had shut down during the pandemic, was not seeing anybody, but guess who was? We were. We were seeing those families that needed that help. And that's what you can be doing for yourself. So I am so excited about the people that you're about to hear from, coming to you from Portland, Oregon, Greg and Rebecca Bundy, both of them a powerful partnership couple, both licensed, both really good in the business, been in the business 19 years. Get your notebooks ready. Let's hear it for Greg and Rebecca.
Hey, Bonnie, thank you so much for the introduction. Hey, it's a pleasure to speak with you earlier this week on the phone and get to know you a little bit better. Great job on your message today. Hey, we're just humbled, man. We're super humbled to be able to speak to you guys today alongside so many, superstars out there, both on, on this call on Zoom, as well as those of you that are out in Zoom land, the listening. So many of you have been such great examples to us of your leadership, and you inspired us so much. Also want to just express some gratitude, of course, to Glenn, Julie, Bobby, and Peter for their leadership, man, for their vision, for your focus on continuing to grow this company and providing so many opportunities to us to succeed. Also, would be a little bit remiss if we didn't thank Santi McManus, as well as our upline, Mark and Sue Younger. And they have showed us unconditional love, unconditional belief all through the years. I just want to give them a quick shout out. And then we're, of course, grateful for our team here in Portland, Oregon, man. The Bundy Builders hierarchy, whoop, whoop. Right, we're so excited about our team. We have some freaking studs. I mean, they've adapted during this year, this pandemic, right? Our team, we've adapted. We've stayed focused, sharpened our focus. We've had so many leaders begin to pop up their heads and show leadership. And there's no doubt, right? There's no doubt that we've identified we will promote 3 additional RVPs this year in 2021. So Mark and Sue, if you're out there, you have our promise on that, right? They're coming. SVP's right around the corner for us. And then finally, but not last but not least, is I want to thank our Heavenly Father. So grateful for the blessings. There's no doubt in my mind that his hand is definitely on this business and continues to guide this business through our incredible leaders. So just honored to share a few things with you guys today. Just a couple little nuggets with all of you RVPs. I mean, again, honored because we know the hard work, the sacrifice, the focus that it took to get to this level. I know we're speaking to all RVPs out there. We know you've made that decision to get after it. And listen, 2020 it's been a blessing, right? Yeah, it's been a pandemic. You look at the world and the struggles, but for us, it's been a huge blessing. We're super grateful for 2020 because you know what? It's required us to change, right? It's required us to change our thinking. It's required us to get more creative, to adapt. But most importantly, what it's done, it's required us to ask for help, right? I can be a little bit of a prideful guy. It's going to be difficult to ask for help. But this year we realized that we need to ask for help. And there's a couple of people I just want to give a quick shout out to that have definitely reached out to us and helped us in growing our business. The first is Alex and Sandra Santana. They've been incredible friends from the beginning. We've known this couple for a long time, grew up in the business together. They've exposed us to a bigger thinking, right? And we know that a different way of thinking. The only way to change our lives is to change our thinking. And we've had many conversations with them. They've allowed us to plug into some of their trainings. And just want to tell you guys we love you. Thank you so much for the help. And then also another incredible couple is Kurt and Donna Joyner. What an incredible, those of you that know them, what an incredible, loving couple. I got a chance to get to know them a little bit better. We're actually in St. George, Utah a couple of months ago and had a chance to go meet up with Donna, have lunch and spend some time. And what incredible, but Kurt, we all know incredible leader, investment guru. He's helped us and allowed us to plug into a lot of his investment trainings, helped us in our securities business, building confidence. We know that was a missing link in our business, and we're getting better at that. Mastering the 3 Ds of investing, getting competent, getting our licensed agents competent, and allowing us just to plug in and get better. So thank you so much. But speaking of the 3 Ds of investing, what I know to be true, I believe there's 3 Ds of building a successful business here in Primerica. Okay, 3 Ds of a successful business in Primerica. The first one, it all starts, we've heard it starts with a decision, right? That's where it starts. It starts with a decision to be committed, right? To stay focused, to slave off the distractions, because we all know we have a ton of them in our life, right? To self-improve, a decision to get better, to be a leader, to be a coach, to be an example, right? And ultimately to win. Right? It starts with a decision. Number 2D, right? We've got to take advantage of distribution, man. The power of diversified, just like diversification in investments, it's important that we're diversified in our business in Primerica, okay? Again, you've heard this is a copycat business. You want to copy the right cat. Well, listen, I heard Alex Santana share an example using J-Lo. Right? When I dropped the name J-Lo, I mean, she's an icon, right? She's a world-renowned, Jennifer Lopez, well, you look at Jennifer Lopez's life and her business, she's ultimately diverse of many, many different streams of income, right? She's a dancer, a singer, an actress, a model. She has a clothing line, a shoe line. She has a perfume line. Listen, if her perfume line went away, is she going to fail? Is that going to hurt her income? No, right? She's diversified. She has lots of it's distribution, making lots of money, okay? Multiple streams of income. And the last D is duplication. Okay, distribution makes us money. Duplication is going to make us wealthy. Right? We've got to duplicate what? Duplicate our efforts, duplicate our knowledge, duplicate our mental toughness. Right? Teach our team, accountability, and ultimately duplicate our success. So, hope that was helpful for you. Go ahead, Becky. Share.
So we've been married 27 years, and I'm echoing, right? I feel like I'm echoing the same message, and we've been working side by side here, and just super feel like, we've raised 6 kids over the last 27 years. We just became grandparents, and we feel like we've reached this time in our business where, man, there's just no excuses, right? And so over the last 2 days, we feel like these messages that have been delivered to us have been customized just for us, right? Literally just created for us. And we've been hearing over and over again about being consistent in the fundamentals, right? Being consistent in prospecting and recruiting and licensing, developing leaders, right? Promoting leaders, right? But I think what we're feeling, what we know is consistency makes progress. And we know that. We know that staying consistent gets you milestones, but it's that intense consistency, right? Intensity is what creates stories. And Carlos and Monica Leon just went over 1 million. And what a story. Their intense focus of taking that $1 million contract, that milestone so fast, that intense focus. What an amazing story. And I just want to thank them for their example of raising the bar, because that's what intensity is. The intensity, when we're ready to become intense, we've got to elevate our standards, right? We have to elevate our standards in who we're spending time with. We need to elevate our standards in how we're spending our time. We need to elevate our standards from our office, right? What we expect from our office, from our family, from our children. We need to elevate our standards in our surroundings. And more importantly, we need to elevate our standards in ourselves, right? What we can expect from ourselves, what we can achieve, and where we're headed. Our Oregon Ducks football team, right? They have this motto, this belief, it's win the day. And this simple belief behind the Oregon Ducks motto is that they strive to be intensely focused every day on the little things, right? The sprint, the wind sprints, the drill hurdles, the study sessions, right? The scrimmages and the games. It's the fundamentals on and off the field, and it's winning the day and growing every day. And I believe, right, I heard Diana Mencia talk about this yesterday, that if we practice that same belief, right, so every day, if we win the day and getting no less than 10 new names a day, right, if we win the day and getting 10 names a day minimum, if we win the day every day and setting no less than 3 appointments every single day, and if we can stay intensely focused every day at helping a family, right, protect their income, invest for their retirement, save them money back in their pocket, that 10-3-1 game plan, right, is what is helping Diana Mencia create a game plan for freedom, that intense focus. I think she said she did it year after year, every single day, just an intense, focused game plan. And I feel like yesterday, maybe some of you guys saw this, but there's an athlete, Chris Milton, and he tweeted in January at a player, Justin Harris, who played in the Peach Bowl, and their college football team lost. And during the trophy presentation, the entire Cincinnati team went to the locker room except for Justin, and he stood on the sidelines by himself, the only player on the roster, and intensely focused, watched the presentation to the winning team, to the champions. And I feel like that right now. I feel like we're watching, we're on the sidelines, but I feel like we're coming and we're learning and we're growing. And the tweet said from Chris to Justin, take it personal. Take it personal. And we got to take it personal. We got to take it personal that Oregon isn't on the map, that they're not representing, they're not contributing enough to that numbers, and we got to do our part. So we know for us to create our story, a great story, we have to get better, right? Ian Prunkner says when we get better, right, things get better. And guess what? When things get better, we feel better. And when we feel better, we are better at kitchen tables. We are better at the Zoom appointments. We're better at recruiting. We're better at training, right? And so we have to work on ourselves. And then we just need to remember that as we become intensely focused, as we continue to get better, people start watching. People are attracted. It is an attractive quality to be on the move and on the hunt. But it also can create the naysayers and the negativity. And 2020 has already brought a lot of noise into this world. So we have to remember to protect our hearts and guard our minds. We have to be careful of those that have negative opinions, right? Sue Younger told us that a negative thought is a down payment on an obligation to fail. A negative thought is a down payment on an obligation to fail. So we got to be wary of these negative thoughts entering our minds, right? We've got to be careful of the opinions of ever. Art Martinez just said, opinions of others will cost you millions, but facts will make you millions. And the fact is, this company, while it teaches families how to compound interest, because of the help of this next leader, because of the guidance of our next speaker, our company is compounding millionaires. I'm so excited to introduce our speaker, our president, Peter Schneider.
Thank you very much, Greg and Rebecca. You know, I loved your message. I love the message about personal improvement, about expanding your own horizons, making sure we have the kinds of standards that we expect of ourselves. And there's so many great leaders on today, and I hope everyone who's listening finds wisdom in the messages. I'm certainly going to try and provide my own wisdom here. And it's an honor today to talk to the RVPs in what I'm calling the heartland, right? The Midwest and the Northwest. My topic today is drivers of success in COVID's aftermath. And it's about what comes next post-COVID. And some may question my timing on this. You know, when you look at what's going on today, we're not by any respect past this. I saw the latest news. There's been another sharp increase in unemployment. Just last week, the economy shed 140,000 jobs. 1.1 million workers have asked for unemployment since the beginning of the new year. And there are predictions that the loss of life will continue, and our hearts go out to all the families that are suffering. But, you know, at some point this ends. It always ends. Pandemics end. And the question for us at that point will be, what's going to be different? You see, COVID has forced companies to make strategic choices and has tested every firm's ability to adapt. Some businesses have been industries unable to adapt because of the nature of the business. I mean, think about airlines. Now, folks, they're flying again. They have people on planes, but the number of travelers is significantly below where it was before. And predictions are it really won't recover to the prior levels for a long time. Anything in travel and leisure, hotels, of course, restaurants have seen their business down. What is the worst is the toll that has been taken on small businesses. See, small businesses don't have the cushion to have a pullback on revenue. Small businesses are like households. You just can't stop the income in a household and expect that household to continue as it did before. At one point in this pandemic, about 800 small businesses were closing every day. And studies have shown there's been about 22% of small business owners that have had to shut their doors. Many of those doors will not reopen. By the way, we don't have that in Primerica because the difference between a small business and a small Primerica business is the mothership, Primerica, is behind every business that we have. You know, some companies were simply well positioned for the pandemic. Zoom obviously has been a beneficiary. I hate to use that word of it. DoorDash, which does home delivery. Amazon, I'll talk about that a little later. Disinfectant companies, Clorox and things like that have benefited. What's I think most remarkable about us, about Primerica, is I think we would have been on the list of endangered businesses had anyone thought about the effect of a pandemic. I mean, look, you have a business that is face-to-face. We do face-to-face sales in people's homes, and that's actually how this thing is spread. We have big meetings. That's how this thing is spread. We take trips and have incentives. Well, you can't do that anymore. And we're in a business that everyone would have said, well, what are they going to do? They're just going to stop and shut down. But we've defied all the odds. And the way we've done it is through the adaptability of our field force, the ingenuity of our field force. That's what's been on display here. You know, I'm an old basketball player. I was never that good, but I knew how to score. That was like my thing. I was a scorer. Didn't play much defense, but I could figure out how to score. And one thing I knew how to do is pivot. And what a pivot is you make a turn and create a new lane for yourself to the basket. That is, I think, what we did. We made a pivot from face to face to screen to face, just like we're doing today. And we created a new lane for ourselves to the basket. And the reason we work, and maybe some of these other companies didn't, is because we have entrepreneurs. We have folks who knew they had to figure out, how am I going to score? You know, if you look at our 2020 sales, and these are probably very conservative estimates, it's only come from data that we know about, over 65% of all of our sales have not been done on an in-person basis. 95% of all sales are on a digital device today. Some of those things, by the way, we had in place before. We've had to adapt to a new foreign environment. I think a big part of that, by the way, is our culture. I think culture has allowed us to power through because we have a culture of creativity and adaptability. Well, that environment is about to change again. Vaccine is out. My daughter has gotten her second shot. She only had about 101 temperature for a few days, but now she's over that. We're going to walk out of our shelters, and the question is, what are we going to see? We're going to see a new set of challenges and unfamiliar territory. My belief is when we go back into the world, we're going to find it is fast forwarded. That's the word I'm using. You probably, if you've watched this before, you've heard me use it. Fast forwarded in time. That the decade has gotten here a lot quicker than we thought. The decade of dominance is half the decade. We're gonna have a 5-year decade of dominance because everything we thought was going to come in 10 years is here now. And we need to understand what those things are. So over the rest of my talk, I want to take us through what I believe are the pivots, my little basketball analogy, are the pivots that we have to do and that will help drive our success. And let's begin with the very first one. Mortality awareness creates tailwinds for our life insurance. Coming up after me is Ronnell Burns, one of our greatest producers today. My guess is he would tell you, without even having to say anything, people had a renewed appreciation for the importance of life insurance as part of a financial plan. You know, when Kobe Bryant passed away earlier this year in a tragedy, of course, everyone said, "Oh, I need life insurance." Well, that lasts just a few days. But what's different this time is COVID has impacted everyone, and the randomness of the deaths that have occurred, never know who's at risk, has made everyone realize the importance of life insurance. And that's true for the survivors as well as those who have had the disease and gotten through it. Of course, our company has stood behind every policy we've written, every promise we've made. We paid a record number of death benefits. We didn't even flinch at a time when we didn't know what the mortality implications were of the pandemic. Why? Because Primerica is always going to be there for our clientele. And we're always going to support our field and what you do. When you speak to someone, you should never have a thought about whether or not this company is going to honor its promises. And I believe that the success we had in 2020 will continue into 2021 and beyond. 2, furlough fear will drive a desire to diversify household income streams. Hey, jobs have been lost. They've been lost in droves. I started out in the broadcast today talking about unemployment benefits that are now being sought since the beginning of the year. Companies dropped workers in droves. Not Primerica, by the way. We haven't furloughed anyone. And by the way, I almost hate that word furlough. Furlough sounds so careful. I'm not eliminating your job. I'm postponing your job. But unfortunately, in many cases, they're postponing that job forever. It's unclear how many of those furlough jobs are coming back. And what we have is the ability to not furlough people. Let me show you this slide right here. Look at this. I looked at the percentage of part-time workers that were furloughed or pink slipped during COVID. 24%. So if you had a part-time job, there was a 1 in 4 chance that you were going to lose it. But if you're a Primerica independent contractor, it's not a job, independent contractor, what percentage lost their opportunity? No one did. Why? Because you're the owner of your opportunity. You may not do anything with it, but no one's going to take it from you. No one's going to fire you. No one's going to furlough you. No one's going to lay you off. You make that decision. You're in control. And we're seeing that in attitudes on work. People are rethinking work. I want to control my environment, they're saying. I want to live where I want to live. I'm not in the same place I was before the pandemic. I've moved. I'm somewhere else, and I like where I am. I want to continue to do that. I don't want to be summoned back into the office. And when I work makes a difference to me now. I want my own kiosk. I don't want anyone telling me what to do. I don't want them to tell me I'm furloughed. I don't want to be sent into a tailspin because I don't have control over my life. And I think what Primerica offers people is the opportunity to choose when to work, where to work, how to work, and to choose whether or not their future is in their own hands or someone else's. Before COVID, about 2% of the workforce worked remotely. Predictions are it'll be 10% after COVID. A lot of companies are not going to let folks have that flexibility. Some will, and I think everyone's rethinking that, but a lot won't. And some jobs don't lend themselves to that anyway. I think we're going to see a change, and I think it's going to be for the benefit of Primerica. 3, middle income and diverse households suffered the most. Everyone was in the same ocean. Not everyone was in the same boat. You see women, people of color, diversity, markets that we serve, they've had a hard time in many respects. All of us have had a hard time, but in particular, let's just take women. Women have been forced in many cases, and by the way, I apologize for my generalizations here, but a lot of women have been forced to cut back on work, men too, but to cut back on work because of at-home learning needs. Look at this stat right here. 30% of families have reduced work hours to meet at-home learning needs. Children are at home. They're learning at home. They're not going to school. That's affected the ability to work. This comes from McKinsey and Company, a great consulting firm. Now at Primerica, that hasn't happened. Why? Because you don't have to make those choices at Primerica. Our women in Primerica field cash in 2020 increased by 27%. African Americans make up a lot of frontline COVID workers, essential workers, workers that make a huge difference to everyone else, but that's put African Americans at risk. 1 in 1,000 have lost their lives. Hispanic, 18% of the population, 33% of the cases, and tremendous joblessness in the Hispanic community. This goes right to our purpose, our mission. Primerica, I believe, has a responsibility to help households that other firms have abandoned. And I believe that by doing good, we will be rewarded. I am confident that our willingness to help all communities will be paid back to us after the pandemic, because we were willing to step into families that others neglected. 4, technology adoption has accelerated and shifted preferences for every generation. Let me go back to McKinsey. McKinsey has found, they did a study, they believe technology acceptance, digital technology, has vaulted probably 5 years due to COVID. And it's every generation. It doesn't matter who you are, what your age is, everyone is being forced to change how they do business. Look at this slide right here. Traditional in-person customer interactions down 55% because of COVID, but look what's up. We see it, we're experiencing it now. Digital video conferencing, that's a fancy word for Zoom, up 69%. Are people going to go back? No. 75% of folks say who have adopted new technology, they're not going back. By the way, we haven't lost face-to-face. We're still face-to-face. We're just not in person anymore. And when we come back, we're going to have both, which broadens our appeal in our market. There are some people who, quite frankly, don't want to go to an op night, and they didn't want to go to an op night before, but they'll Zoom with you, they'll get into a room with you, and you don't have to drive to them anymore. And you don't have to apologize for not being face to face. Frankly, they want that. We have to understand why people are making this switch, because they're making switch. Loyalties are up for grabs. Look at this slide. More than 3/4 of consumers have tried a new shopping method with an intent beyond the crisis. Why? Well, 64% say it's convenience. We need to make sure we bring that same sort of convenience that Amazon brings, that you can order quickly online, because we can grab market share. Look at this. 78% of consumers have changed stores, brands, or the way they shop. We need to bring in new clients because we offer the convenience they can get elsewhere. And that's a challenge for us because we're going to have to compete on convenience. 5, remote testing in life and securities licensing is here to stay. I'll tell you, I believe, and Bobby Peterman and I have had this discussion, I believe that but for COVID, I don't think we would have had remote testing in the next 5 years. Might have been even bit longer. But just like industries have been forced to adapt, the testing industry has been forced to adapt. And so what they've offered us is remote testing. That's a game changer for us. All the inconvenience of scheduling an exam, going into a bricks and mortar facility, worrying about who's around you and they're coughing and sneezing and their pencils. You don't have to worry about that anymore. From your home, you can be prepared and take the exam. And by the way, the next generation, which is really doing all testing now online, it sets it up for success with them. This is a wonderful thing for our business that I think will help drive our success in the future. 6, remote communication has skyrocketed. So Julie, later on today, will talk more about My Primerica and the Rep Marketing Center. I'm going to talk a little bit about social media because we recognize, and this is one of the things I'm proudest of, some of the things we're talking about today, we started years ago to put into place, and it's paying dividends. We anticipated the trend. One of those is social media. We used to approach social media as hands off, something to be afraid of. We need to do it right. But now we're embracing social media because we see a place for it in our business. You got to be careful in that place. We have a whole policy called the Blueprint out there on that. But what we've seen is there's been about a 50% increase in social media use because of COVID. That's where people are getting their news. That's the new town square, if you will. And so right now we have a group piloting Primerica Social. It's a place where you can go onto the Primerica app and load content onto your own personal social media feed. I've got a sort of a coming attractions for you here in a 2-minute video because we're going to launching this more broadly in February. I want you to get as excited as me about it. Let's take a look at this video.
As a Primerica representative ready to grow your business, you know what a powerful tool social media can be. You can use it to meet new people, engage with others, build relationships, share Primerica concepts, and expand your reach. Check out Primerica's Social Media Blueprint, a helpful guide full of advice to make sure your posts are both engaging and compliant. Ready to get started? You can access great social media content using Primerica Social on the Primerica app. Familiarize yourself with a social media content library full of pre-approved posts that are ready to use, graphics and videos on the business opportunity, financial education, motivation, leadership, and more. Primerica Social allows you to easily link all your social media channels into one place for easy management and to browse, choose, schedule, and share approved social media content directly to your own profiles and pages. Content is available for everyone, no matter what licenses you hold. And if a license is required, our tool takes the guesswork out of it for you. You'll only see content you're approved to share. Plus, we'll continuously track content performance to provide posts that resonate most with your followers. New content will be added regularly, so check back often. Whether you're new to social media or a social superstar, we're here to help, and we're just getting started.
I hope that makes you excited about what's coming in February. And the best part of it is the content that we're creating. We have a group in the home office now working day in and day out on creating posts that you will be blown away with once you get into our library. And by the way, I should mention something else. This is not just about social. So social is important. It's what we're focused on in February, but we've also contracted with an outside firm. We are going to tackle search. So we know this is annoyance that when clients or recruits start to go onto Google, Wikipedia, that they see things that you don't love. We don't love them either. And so we're going to make sure that our search results reflect who we really are, not who someone else thinks we are. There's more to come on this. That's a whole nother talk. Let me go to my last point, 7. New political risks emerged. You know, when you have a crisis, you always have an unstable political environment. Boy, are we seeing that now. In 2021, we're going to have challenges, and we're going to, on the political side, we're going to ask for your help. I hope you answer our call. The best advocates for Primerica are members of our sales force, and we will need your help in getting through that environment. Let me end in this way. COVID's biggest lesson, I believe, is we can handle anything as a business as long as we're willing to adapt, as long as we're going to be nimble and opportunistic, as long as we're going to be savvy and innovative. We're all going to be pandemic survivors. So what do survivors do? They make a difference in other people's lives. They get a renewed sense of purpose. I think Primerica is at its finest when we deal with others' shattered dreams, because we come along and we make a difference to families. We bring income in the household and we repair broken financial situations. That is what we're going to be facing post-pandemic. And I know this field force will be up to that task. Hey, it gives me incredible pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ronnell Burns. You know, I've watched Ronnell over the years. We've had interactions from time to time. And what I've seen on Ronnell is how he has evolved into one of our most solid leaders. Talent is never in doubt. Man, Ronnell, you're brimming with talent. And what we've seen is seeing that talent turned into production and building with a $600,000 plus cash flow and a voice that people need to listen to. Not only to learn how we should do our business, but to learn the passion that it takes to build a great Primerica business. Ronnell, the stage is all yours, and appropriately so.
Thank you, President Peter Schneider. And what an awesome message that you shared about the pivot. I'm telling you, I had my notes written down, President Schneider, and I had my message already, and you just messed it all up. You come up with that message about the pivot, and it's just so timely. So, guys, before I get into my new message called The Pivot, y'all just erase that title. That Peter didn't title here, so I'm taking the title, The Pivot. But, guys, I want to thank, first off, Ben Williams, our CEO of the company, Bobby and Peter, and Jeff Findler, and just different people, Julie Singer, that does a wonderful job. And guys, what I appreciate most is that when this pandemic hit, we wasn't scrambling as a company to get ready. We already had the technology in place, the foresight to be ready to keep our business moving down the road. I want to thank the AALC. Because guys, what the ALC do for our business, just that training, that teaching, that mentorship, that the ALC and Ivan and John Lynn has done a great job of leading that way. Camila Cutliff been that glue that just held the ALC together. Guys, it means everything to the support for people like myself who just was trying to figure this business out. To have the leadership that Primerica has in place in every entity, guys, it's caused us to be able to put ourselves in a position to make our dreams a reality. I want to thank my upline, RVP Dante Owens, George Harrison, SVP, Columbus Pilot as National Sales Director, and then also, guys, the great Charles Widener, our Senior National Sales Director. Those guys helped us navigate our course. And some of you guys know the challenges that we faced in the business, guys. And with the great leadership of our uplines and the leadership and the CEO that we have, guys, they just helped us to navigate through that pathway and to put ourselves in a position where we can be $600,000 earners today. Guys, a lot of times there, when the glory comes, they acknowledge the RVPs, or we get the one to speak, guys. But I have some amazing leadership team members that I just want to acknowledge, guys. First off, we got 4 RVPs, and the first one I want to acknowledge, guys, Mike Green. Mike Green, guys, came into this company and he took his income, guys, as a regional vice president to over $100,000. That was amazing in a pandemic. Then we had Dr. Dennis Love, guys. Mind you this, prospecting is key, right? I met Dr. Dennis Love at a mobile gas station. And I asked him a simple question. I said, Dr. Love, I didn't know he was a doctor. He's a doctor in education. I said, are you married to your job? Or do you keep your options for making additional income open? He said, hey, I keep my options open. Mind you, guys, this guy's a doctorate in education. He was already making a 6-figure income. And I met him at a gas station. He was dressed better than I was dressed. He was driving better than I was driving. But because I had the audacity to ask him a simple phrase, right? The speaker before me talked about continuing to prospect. Mike Evans talking about continuing to prospect. I asked him, are you married to your job or do you keep your options for income open? He said, I keep my options open, guys. And now Dr. Dennis Love is no longer a principal in the school system. He's a full-time regional vice president, $250,000 earner, AALC member with Primerica. Guys, then I have the great Matthew Hill, the first RVP that Keanu and I had the privilege of promoting, 300 miles away from us in Kansas City, Missouri. That we had the ability to recruit him to our business because we saw him in a hotel lobby. We saw him in a hotel lobby and we asked him the same exact question. Are you married to your job or do you keep your options for income open? He said he keeps his options for income open. This guy worked at Dollar Tree. Think about this, right? We worked at Dollar Tree, the store manager at Dollar Tree, and he saw the opportunity that Primerica presented. He resigned that night in the hotel lobby. He didn't have a license. Now, I don't advise that, but this guy didn't have a license. He had to take a test. He resigned from Dollar Tree the night in the lobby when he said, when I showed him my presentation, he said, will you teach me that? I said, I will teach you that. He said, well, I'm never going back to work again. He resigned from his job that night. His wife was in the opposite corner doing her IBA with Kiana, and both of them never went back to work for anybody again after seeing the Primerica presentation one time. Today, they're $300,000 earners. And then, guys, last but not least, is Dormont and Lakeisha Evans, guys, been in the business with us for about 20 months now. Took their income, guys, last year in the pandemic to over $600,000. $600,000. Because somebody has the audacity to keep on prospecting, to keep on recruiting, to keep on telling the Primerica story. God, these testimonies are coming because of that ability to keep your business on your mind. I got a hat that I wear that says, mind your business. All day, every day, mind your business, guys. And the guys we're going to talk about as we move forward, guys, that we took our business. Peter talked about the pivot. The pandemic came, guys, and we had to pivot. See, those same 4 leaders that I told you that all went over 100,000 income up to 600,000. In the pandemic, we had to make a pivot. And I remember that while my RVPs coming in and said, Ronnell, what are we going to do? We can't go across kitchen tables no more. We can't see people face to face no more. And a couple of them I had to shake and said, get yourself together. Why? Because we were already perfectly positioned to go win in spite of a pandemic. Nothing changed about, see, the beauty of Primerica, guys, nothing about the pandemic, nothing about the economy changes what we do for families. In fact, all it did is made them need it more. We just had to figure out how we was going to effectively communicate the message. And we really didn't have to do much of that because the electronics and the technology was already in place. So we just had to get our minds right. And guys, in making your surge in your business, the first thing you got to do is you got to get your mind right. See, we used to run the big base shop, $100,000 base shop, and you better figure out how to run one if you really want to grow your distribution. However, in running a $100,000 base shop, guys, what we have from our leadership is they kept teaching us, kept pounding it in our brain. What is the purpose of running a $100,000 base shop? So at some point, you have this beautiful thing called a hierarchy. And guys, we took that $100,000 base shop that in 2019, we did a little bit over $1 million in business in 2019. Because we had the leadership in place that kept talking to us about hierarchy, we took $1 million base shop in 2019 to over $3 million in business in 2020. The pandemic was a blessing in disguise, guys. I don't know if we'd have did 3 million proof first. If it wasn't for the pandemic, all I know is that people awareness, as Peter said, he was dead spot on. People awareness and need for life insurance in their financial portfolio, it increased. We didn't have to go wrestle and give a razzle-dazzle presentation. Guys, most people was coming, falling at our feet and said, we need to protect our family. And we have to understand, guys, the timing that we're in. This is the prime position where the scriptures come to light that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. There's not enough people telling the story. And that's how did this happen? How did you guys go from $100 million base shop in 2019 to 3 million proof first? How in the world did that happen, guys? My point number one is systems. And you guys hear me talk about this lately in every one of my speeches, that we have to have systems. We had a fast start school in Kansas City before the pandemic. And our national sales director, Columbus Pilot, spoke at that meeting. And one of the things Columbus did, he brought a little booklet down there. And all of my guys was wanting the booklet. They was wrestling to get this booklet from Columbus Pilot. And I felt a little bit jealous. You know, when you're a leader and then everybody else wants somebody else stuff, you kind of sometimes feel away. But instead of allowing that to take me out and get caught up in some foolery, I said, let me see what's in that book. And what he had was a system. He had a roadmap. He had ways to do things that people can adapt, and they had a blueprint in front of them. I said, wait a minute, we need to get one of those. So we put together the 6-figure ambition roadmap to success, gleaning from what we saw from a leader that's already been successful in this industry. And we put that thing together, guys. And the first thing that we looked at in having a system, guys, we started studying, and I think you should do this if you haven't. We studied the E-Myth. See, I was up late one night and I was on Instagram and I seen the phenomenal Gary Cornegay on Instagram. And Gary Cornegay was talking about the E-Myth. The E-Myth. And they were studying the McDonald's and Ray Kroc and how Ray Kroc wouldn't allow people to compromise a system that he put in place. So he said, Charles Whiteman told us one time he worked at McDonald's. And he said the McDonald's that he worked for, the franchise owner continued to try to go buy napkins from Walmart, and it didn't have the McDonald's emblem on that napkin. He said they took his store away from him because they wasn't going to allow him to go against a proven system. So we started studying the email, and it showed how Ray Kroc, when he was alive, took the McDonald's franchise to about 7,500 franchises, 7,500. When he died, the franchises of McDonald's is nearing 40,000 restaurants after he died. How is that even possible? He had a system. See, we put together a system on how we're going to recruit. We put together a system on how we was going to continue to get referrals. And most of you guys are seeing the beneficiary rollover, right? So when we got the beneficiary rollover, we write everything down on the pad and we call the beneficiary and we'll go see them. Well, the pandemic hit, we can't write anything down on no pads no more. We can't go see them anymore. We have to figure out how to make that pad electronic. We have to figure out now when we close ensure we got to have a system how to make this come alive on Zoom. So now when we close the clients, now we're not sitting back still trying to figure out how we're going to get to the next one. We have technology that allows us to do that, guys. And the last and final point that I'm going to make is this here, guys. Last final point. Don't ever forget the things that brought tears to your eyes. I remember, guys, when me and my wife were struggling in the business, guys, and we got our lights cut off, that she sat in my driveway and she cried with tears in her eyes. And in the tears in her eyes, guys, she said, do you need me to go get a job? And I said, no, baby, you don't need to go get another job. There's another level in me that I'm going to pull out. And you'll never have to ask me the question if you need a job. And I allow my pain to turn into pleasure for our life. We put a system together and built the hierarchy, guys. And now our dreams are becoming our reality. I appreciate you guys listening to me tonight. And I get a privilege to introduce our next speaker. Young lady hails out of Chicago, Illinois. This guy has built a phenomenal business over the last 25 years. She had over 21 RVPs and in the top 10 in the country with money up under management. Guys, I want to introduce to some, present to others, the awesome Miss Kathy Brenham.
Hey, Ronnell. Thank you so much. You were awesome, man. Totally awesome. You guys, we just first want to say how grateful we are. Matt and I are so grateful for our team. You all are so thoughtful. You are so hardworking. You're such great leaders and you're very kind to people. So we are really proud of you. We are really proud that you're on our team. And we also want to say how grateful we are to be on Team Unstoppable and how excited we are that we're all working together for a common goal. We're super pumped up about that. And you're going to hear a little bit later from our great leaders, Chris and Elizabeth Koog. So I'm excited for you for that because we get the benefit of that, you know, all the time. All right, so let's talk a little bit because I have a few thoughts for you. So first of all, hopefully you remember a movie from Disney called The Lion King. And in The Lion King, there's this one scene where Simba, the cub lion, Simba's all bummed out and kind of whiny, because he thinks that he was a major reason that his father, Mufasa, died. And he thinks he's not worthy. So he's doing a bunch of negative self-talk, right? And he's with the monkey, Rafiki, and Rafiki's got his stick, and Simba's whining, and Rafiki just smashes him in the side of the head. And Simba goes, "What's up? Why did you do that?" And Rafiki goes, "What does it matter? What does it matter? It's in the past. It's in the past." So I asked if I could speak from here because I was hoping that I could show you. I'm going to pull this up a little bit. Maybe you can see it right above the fireplace where I'm sitting. There's a picture of our family, and it's a picture taken probably about 20 years ago. It's a very nice little lovely thing, happy moment in our family's lives. And so we've always looked at it, right? We've walked by and looked at it. And about 3 years ago, I just started a new habit where whenever I looked at that picture, I was happy looking at the picture, but then I immediately went to, hey, what is happening now with all the people in that picture, including Matt and I? Where are they right now? Where are each of those kids right now? What's going on with them? And today, am I doing the best thing that I could be doing for each of them? For each of those humans in that picture? What could I be doing better today? What could I be doing better now going forward for them? So even though it's a great picture and I like to look at it, it's still a picture of the past. So the reason I'm bringing that up as my first thought is, what's 2020 for you? What happened in 2020 for you? A quick check, right? A quick check. Maybe it was a great year. Maybe you were awesome. Maybe your team grew. You're totally in stride. So if that is the case for you, then you have to still step up that game. You still have to capitalize on that, right? When people are in their prime, when they're in their game, when good things are happening, they got to crush it. So that's what you've got to do if that was you. What if though you were kind of okay, or maybe it wasn't such a great year for you? Well, you know what? It's in the past. It's in the past. So you can change, and change is key, right? Because if you decide to make a change, especially based on what you've been hearing today, that changes everything from here going forward, right? We can see that with all these new $1 million rates. So that brings me to my second thought, which Peter actually talked a lot about this, about all the change that's occurring in the world. I'm going to give you a little example about here in Chicago. Last summer, they were supposed to be building this brand new big condo high rise on Lakeshore Drive, right? I was all excited about it. It changed the shape of the lakefront, blah, blah. So they're going to build this big thing. Well, of course they didn't do it, right? They didn't do it because of everything that happened. And just this last week, they came out and they said, hey, we're going to build it this summer. We're building it this summer, only we redesigned the thing. So they removed floors from it's not as tall. They removed floors from it. They expanded the condos, each unit themselves, to include an extra room, a Zoom room, a Microsoft Teams room, right? A work room. They added a daycare center. They added co-op workspace in there. They did all kinds of things that have a work-life impact type thing, and they're all pumped up about it. So it takes them 6 years to come up with the old design. They pivoted, right, Ronnell? They pivoted, right, Peter? And then they redesigned it that fast, 6 to 7 months. And now it's all about work-life balance, right? And so I was thinking about that, and I'm like, we have spent decades talking to people about work-life balance. We have been talking about flexibility, part-time income, transition. When I started here, that was my primary goal. I actually, at the time I started, I was like, I don't care if I make less money. I don't care if I went from 75 to 50,000. I don't care. I just want a better life. I didn't want to commute an hour each way to a nuclear plant, right? So all that I saw and wanted to do here. But think about it, you guys. We've spent so much time when we connect with people, so much time trying to show them that this is possible. And what happened in 2020 is they got a little taste of it, right? They just got a little taste of it of, whoa, you might actually be able to do something like this. You know, it's like Doubting Thomas was able to see, right, that they could do something like this. So why that's so darn important for us is that just changes it all, right? That just changes what we're doing, because now we don't have to spend eons of time, you know, trying to convince somebody that it is possible to have a great life and work and commingle all that and do all that, you know, and work from home and everything. Now we can just see it. They can just see it. So we zoom forward, we save like an hour and a half per person, and we can just do it, right? We can just ideate, we can just do it. So let's go to the third point, is about action. Everyone's been talking about the same thing on this call. So there's something to that, right? There's something to that. So what are the actions? Number one, more people. We all need more people on our teams, lots more. Lots more, okay? And one recruit per week. Super simple, super simple. We each get one new recruit per week, direct. Everything will work out. So more people on our team. Second thing, get them paid and get them trained. The field training bonus couldn't be better. We used to train people. So we'd had this whole spiel, right? Where we were like, come on, get on board. We're going to teach you. We're going to train you. Start part-time, you know, so you can make some money. And then you can come full-time, blah, blah, blah. And now the beauty of the field training bonus is we can get them money. They can see the money so much faster, right? So field training bonus. Third thing, permanent licenses, right? Get them permanently licensed. Keyword permanent, okay? That's the only way that we all have long-term growing businesses. So permanent life licenses, permanent securities licenses, right? And then the fourth thing is just keep it simple. Keep it simple. People come up to me all the time. They're like, oh, you used to be an engineer. You probably have all these formulas and charts and things like that. No, I am the queen of keep it simple. One of my jobs was, they would tell me in the nuclear plant, they'd be like, oh, there's intergranular stress corrosion cracking of the metabolic composition of the piping, right? And then my job was to listen to all those nukes, tell me all that. And then I had to turn around and say, yeah, the pipe's got cracks in it. It's leaking. It's not good, right? So I'm the queen of keep it simple. And the simpler you can make it, the better. So one recruit a week. Do a checkup from the neck up on the process, on your simplicity, and you're going to be unstoppable. So let me transition. I get to introduce Julie Seaman. So I could talk all day long about how smart she is, right? How hard she works, how committed she is, her vision. I can do that all day long, but I just want to tell you the most important thing to me about Julie Seaman, okay? The thing is, she understands us. She understands our company. She understands the people that work here. She knows that everything we do is about doing what's right, and it's about being the right kind of people for our clients and our team, because our clients and our team are all of our friends and family and all their friends and family. So, you know, she listens, she pays attention, she shares the passion of that. So what I love the most about Julie Seaman is she thinks and she acts and she has a vision that is a fiduciary person for our company. We can trust her. She acts as our steward. In our house, we call that she's a really good egg. So I'm turning this over to Julie. You take it over, girl.
Kathy, oh my goodness, thank you so much for that introduction. You have no idea how much that means coming from you. I miss hugging your neck. I miss seeing you in person. And I don't know about you, but you know, I mean, this Zoom environment, as great as it is, it certainly does come with its challenges, guys. I just got to share with you, well, I've been sitting here, we started at noon today with our first RVP meeting. And so the sun set, which means I just had to throw up some lighting. I hope it looks okay. I'm not even sure. And when I threw up the lighting, I turned around and looked. And at some point, we had Amazon orders come in today Tony had opened the boxes and they were all across the kitchen counters in the back, right? So I just shoved all of that stuff in the hallway. So I'm sure you feel my pain. You've had those moments during COVID, right? But anyway, let's get started, teammates, because I've got so much to talk to you about. It has been obviously an incredible year in 2020, and we're building upon that together as a team, as a company, to work for your clients, for your futures as you build your hierarchies. At the same time, man, we are working hard on 2021. So I want to make sure you know everything we've got going on in January. And then I want to share with you some of the things that we did in 2020 and how we're building upon that in 2021. So let's get started. We are in, of course, lightning start January, and there are so many incentives, starting with our $49 IBA. And we know what that did for our business in 2020. So we wanted to make sure that we launched that to kick off this year, our second year of the decade of dominance, and that is something that you can use to build your base shops and your hierarchies. Now, what we do with those new recruits is just as important. So we wanted to make sure to incent them. Of course, I believe one of the most important tools in Primerica is the Primerica app. And so teammates, when our new recruits sign up for that Primerica app, when they download it onto their phone, within the first 24 hours of filling out their IBA, they get a $50 field training bonus credit. But this month, in Lightning Start January, in addition to that, when they complete their pre-licensing in their first 30 days, they get another $100 in their field training bonus bank. And then we have continued with the extra $100 for every 1 by 1,000. Now that is powerful, teammates, because as you build their team, as you add recruits to their team, they earn that one, right? But for every 1,000 in premium, which means they're understanding our business, they're understanding life insurance and what it is to sell the opportunity across the kitchen table, physically or virtually, and buy term and invest the difference. They earn that $300. What a powerful tool. And then, of course, for our future RVPs, those teammates, so many folks have talked about today, promoting RVPs, right? That's how you build a hierarchy. For those teammates who are on their way to RVP, we've got a future RVP bonus of $250,000, the pool this month, and that goes to our top 250 life premium producers. And then RVPs, the leadership team watching this right now. When your recruits earn their field training bonus in the month of January, you'll get $100 for every recruit that earns that. In addition, of course, we're reaching for South Beach with that securities competition, the competition for the future, and also the Circle of Champions. Folks are competing right now, beginning in January. All right, so let's talk about those 2021 breakthroughs we like to call high impact deliverables, right? And they're really focused on building our life license sales force. All that we do, we know, is about you. And so we've been talking about hitting 150,000 life licenses, but teammates, I got to tell you, well, we might have held life licensing together with duct tape in 2020, and we still have our struggles today. What you have accomplished has been monumental. And when you look at how dedicated you have been to getting your new reps licensed, I think we're going to breeze right through 150 on our way to 200,000. And there's a few important components that are going to help us to do that. First off, we've been talking about making success permanent, and that is all about licensing. And for you to find the most updated information, I just want to encourage you to continue to go to that graphic on the front page of POL, Make Success Permanent. There you'll find a link to the map where you can click on a state or a province. You can find out about remote testing or in-person testing, all the status that you need to know, not only in your state, but across both countries, right? And so then the other thing I think that's incredibly important is Sprint to District. And so teammates, as I said, downloading that app's the first piece. When our new recruits download that app, of course, they're launched right into Sprint to District. And so how you use it as a leader is just as important as how they use it. There's reporting there for you. You asked for us to kind of simplify how you access it. So now you can access it directly from the homepage. Super easy, easier to navigate for you. You can customize the recruit content that you would like to see in that report. But what's coming for your recruits? Well, let me tell you, a real-time interactive best next steps. What does that mean? That means we know exactly where a recruit is in that perfect path, in that licensing process. And so we can identify that and prompt them on to the next step. So what we want to do is really encourage, but also follow through with what you're telling them in the base shop and what you're following and what you're asking them to do. In addition, we're adding some game style competition and recognition. I don't know about you, but I wear a Fitbit, right? And so every day, like 250 steps an hour, they let you know when you don't get that right. So if I get that trigger that says I didn't get my steps, I'm out there walking, right? So we want to encourage that kind of engagement. And so we're going to recognize our new recruits when they hit those steps and also encourage them along the way to take the next step. So make sure you stay tuned for much more to come with Sprint to District. All right, let me talk about remote testing real quick. And first, let me thank our legal team. Of course, the incredible Ben Rogers, Peter Schneider helped with it, and their entire team of lawyers. I'm telling you, we took the lead and foresaw the future, quite honestly. I mean, of course, temp licenses has played a pretty significant role in the transition, but very quickly, our team went to work on remote licensing because really the environment has changed. And as Peter and many of the leaders have talked about today, it's going to be not just a new normal, but maybe a new abnormal, right? And so this remote testing environment is important today, available in 28 states, 8 provinces, 13 more states coming on board, another province, and the team continues to work on what I think is one of the biggest developments in licensing in our business. So in addition to that, teammates, so we talked about really starting this month with a $49 IBA. We talked about, making success permanent and Sprint to District, but really a key that we understood is that a licensing specialist makes a difference and made even a bigger difference in 2020. So we took from the field the leaders that had licensing specialists in place, what they were doing, and really put that into a program and have seen incredible success. We have over 650 RVPs today who have had a life licensing specialist go through the process and get certified. And really, here's what that has meant to their business. They're building a bigger team because their recruit to license rate is up 17%. They're getting more licenses on their team because their number of licenses is up 154%. And they have more field training bonuses being paid in their base shops than ever before because they're making 206% more money in those field training bonuses. So teammates, how do you become a licensing specialist? Well, you got to identify one on your team, right? And so, and while they talk about this, becoming a licensing specialist, you identifying one, I think the other important point to note, as your teammates are focused on going RVP, the licensing specialist certification is a great tool for them to understand before they get to RVP all that goes into tracking licensing, right? So it's really for more than licensing specialists, but licensing specialists can get that certification now 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's special reporting available now in Sprint to District for them too, the licensing specialist report that helps them to follow up. And of course, they'll have access to what you want them to have access to in Sprint to District as far as licensing goes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about life insurance. Glenn shared with you some of the good news in our life business with the Next Gen product and the steps that we're taking into that foray. I want to talk to you a little bit more about some of the releases we had in 2020 that you may not have even realized are part of the Next Gen process. The Next Gen really is all about us sustaining growth, but we began by our commitment to a remarkable client experience on your behalf and through the policy delivery kit. So let's dig in here because I want you to see what we delivered in 2020. And everybody got this, by the way, in their blue bags this last week. So if you haven't had a chance to tear into that blue bag, there is a folder, and it's this policy folio that you're seeing right in front of you that you can dig into, and all the items I'm talking about are in that folder. So that folder is new. It is branded, improved, cohesive, simplified. It is by term and invest the difference. It is all about follow up, open up their My Primerica account, right? So it just really professionally welcomes your client to the Primerica family and to you. So inside that folder, obviously you can add that policy snapshot. We delivered that earlier this year, and so many people, we did that at a time where so many people moved into that virtual environment. So you were able to deliver a policy virtually using this snapshot, which really just goes over the insured's coverage details, right? Their payment and beneficiary information, and maybe most importantly, has all of your contact information so they know how to get a hold of you. And then in addition, you've been asking for the claims process flyer, a beneficiary selection flyer, which both offer direction to the client in their time of need or when they need to change change of beneficiary. It helps them walk through that process and really begin it when they need to. And then we updated the protection management brochure, which is a brochure you're incredibly familiar with, really endorses the purchase they just made, but we resized it so it fits perfectly into that folio and updated the stats and all the details in that too. So like I said, that's really the first phase already delivered. I hope you've had a chance to use all of those items. If you haven't, they're in your blue bag, so make sure you check them out. Our 2021 life breakthroughs, though, I am so incredibly excited. I mean, Glenn talked about females getting positive credit for their mortality. That's exciting to hear. In addition to that, a few things that you're going to see this year, really enhanced security. What we're doing is we're chinning up to client expectations, right? And so that enhanced security is through two-factor authentication. And I think everybody here is familiar with that. You experienced that today when you set up accounts. And all we're trying to do, like I said, chin up to client expectations and make sure the client is the person they say they are, and verifying all that we need to protect their security, right? And then an improved payment process, teammates. We're going to be able to link bank accounts. Think about this, without a client going to hunt for their checkbook and find those account numbers, which sometimes can take longer than you need to at the kitchen table. So of course, they know their bank, and so they can easily log on through this app and put their password in, their bank account password, and it links their account to their life insurance policy very simply in one step. Also, e-disclosures, and then we are introducing acceleration. So we're going to have an automated system that will waive parameds earlier throughout the question process. When it comes back at us, that will waive more parameds today than have to be done, right? So all exciting announcements for our life business, but one that I am most excited about, and I talked to you about this at Baha Mar last year, we were putting into place a life wholesale team. It took us a little bit longer to get them hired because of COVID, but we did get them all hired in November. They are in intense training right now. I'm sure some of you have heard from them already, but they will be out in the field to talk to you about all of those announcements I just briefed you on, right? I know you need more detail, and before it comes, we want to make sure you are very well versed. So our Life Regional Sales team is in place, led by the incredible David Bride, and the talent that he brought on board, I am so impressed with. So it includes Victor Romero in California, Jacob Marchesani is in the Northwest, Sochi Lopez in the Southwest, John Foppy in the Central region, Carrington Yard in the Great Lakes, Jorge Uribe in the Southeast, Brian Hare in the Mid-Atlantic, and Arthur Butler in the Northeast. I look forward to you meeting those guys and gals and getting to work with them. All right. And then in addition, in life insurance, imagine this, teammates. I mean, these are major breakthroughs, the life wholesale team, and now a life office manager certification. Yep. You've been asking for it, given the success of the life licensing specialist. It was obvious that when we put the content out there to teach, walk you through what's available, you're able to use it better, right? And so now we have a life office manager certification. Again, not only for life office managers, but a great tool for RVPs to be, or for RVPs if they need a refresher. So this is going to be launching in just a few short weeks, but it's, there's 4 modules to it. And there's great stuff to understand and learn about our business, right? You can walk through the life operations department. The VBS tools, we'll go through those tools so you understand how to use those. Overview of life managers so that an office manager can use that report effectively. Conservation report, child rider report, end of term manager, all of those items. Stay tuned, coming very soon. All right, let me talk about investment sums. So we have had over 1,500 investment focused reps already enable the new rep website. It is available out there. We're getting great feedback. Of course, the rep websites have been out there for quite some time, and you can certainly continue to use that. But if you would like an investment-focused website, you can change over to this one. All you have to do is go to POL to activate it and choose to use that site. So be sure you check that out. And then we've got some other great securities breakthroughs. I'm telling you, every one of these. So the first one, we've got a new mutual fund provider in Fidelity added to the platform. And then an Easy Key just released. Teammates been asking for all those platform funds to be included. They are. Okay. And they're simplified. I mean, EasyKey is really all about the newest securities licensed recruit getting engaged with confidence in the business. And so based on those few questions that are asked in EasyKey, all the platform funds are there, but what's served to the top, what surfaces are the ones that make the most sense for that client. And then for our annuities business, we've got new products and enhancements there too. AIG Assured Edge Fixed Annuity, Equitable Dual Direction, and ILVA's in Puerto Rico. And then our lifetime investment platform, we've got some tax managed separate accounts and more SMA options. All good stuff there in our investment difference, because it is about investing the difference. All right. Let's talk about auto and home, because this is a great time to see if you can save money and to give the auto and home program another shot inside your base shops. Teammates, I'm telling you, we are at the largest savings we've ever had in the history of the program, $504. And think about what that can do for your clients or your new recruits. First off, it pays for a $49 IBA very easily, right? Helps them begin their retirement savings or their emergency fund. But more importantly, it matches them with the right carrier, so they're not overspending. And we are about financial independence. That's a step in the right direction. Then PLPP, PPLS, and identity theft. We've got some good announcements there too. First off, PLPP had a record-breaking year. I mean, after 20 years in that business, we had our biggest year ever in 2020. But this year, they're introducing group enrollments, having an electronic application versus a paper application, which is super exciting. It makes it a whole lot easier. And identity theft is now offered as an employee benefit product. So that means there could be a negotiated discount for that benefit through employers. All right, our mortgage program gets me really excited to talk about this. So many, and I worked with you when I was back in our old smart days. This is a heck of a program, and we are seeing inordinate success so quickly. So we will continue. We are in full rollout mode. We will continue to roll out throughout 2021, more states, more provinces. But what we are working on right now is really a collaborative marketing initiative. So what you need is being developed. That means sales brochures, rep marketing center campaigns, F&A mortgage tools, and then, of course, for competition, leaders bulletins and competition scoreboards. So stay tuned for more states to roll out and more products to roll out coming near you soon, right? All right, I want to make sure you have the AALC dates on your calendar, because this is going to be a huge event. There are tickets still available, which you can go to POL to get those. But the new dates are August 5th through the 8th. So make sure you've got those plugged in. So many people have already purchased their tickets, and it's going to be a heck of an event. HALC has their 2021 podcast calendar already posted out on POL. They do a podcast each and every month. Those topics are already listed on POL. So make sure you plug in. They will add their featured speakers from the HALC and Hispanics all over the country as the year progresses. And then for women in Primerica, listen, our second edition of the Conquer Your Destiny e-magazine is now available, and it's bigger and better than the first one. I didn't know if that was going to be possible, what Karen Hetto has done. I love the graphics. It represents who we are as an organization and who we are as a company so incredibly well. But in addition to that, there are profiles and success stories, and there are articles that will help you to build your business. That's also in that blue bag. All right. Rep Marketing Center. Let's talk about that real quick. It was probably one of our biggest releases in 2020, and it has been an incredible effort and incredibly successful at the same time. So it was all really about managing client relationships and helping you with follow-up and automating that follow-up, right? Set it and forget it. That's really how simple it is. And then because we can follow up, we can increase business. But ultimately, our most recent launch, the prospecting tool that was launched through RMC, may be the best thing yet. So I want to make sure everybody knows about this. If you haven't engaged with it, I know you've seen the button, but the prospecting release is live now, right? And so there is a prospecting quick add button. I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a second, both on the Primerica app and on POL. In addition, with the release in December, there are targeted prospecting campaigns. We've also improved an email verification and tracking so that you can understand your results much easier, and then continue to make other enhancements as requested, as you see right there on that slide. So let's dig into this prospecting launch. As I said, you have probably seen this quick add button already on your screen. I don't know if you tapped it or not, but if you haven't, just tap it, check it out, right? So it floats on that home screen on the app. It also is on POL, but really most conveniently, it's on your app. So if you're out and you're talking to somebody new about this business and you want to get their information and be able to communicate with them via email, you can very simply click on that quick add, boy, that's a tongue twister, button. And what will populate is this screen right here. And so the required fields, obviously, to send an email, that's what kind of tool this is. First name, email, preferred language. You want to make sure to communicate with them in that state, province, consent. There are more fields there you can populate, which totally includes their telephone number. So you can do that there too. But you get as much information as you want in that moment. And then from there, you decide what campaign you want to send to them. So, like I said, there were 5 campaigns that were just released. The first one you see on the slide is the Recruit Prospecting 5-part drip campaign. And so our potential prospects would get 1 email a week, but RVPs, if you decide you want them to get the next email as soon as they open the one that's in their box, you can change that. And that's exactly what will happen. Very easy to change in Rep Marketing Center. Also, there's a campaign featuring our one-on-one recruiting brochure, which is the #1 brochure that we've had. Then there's a campaign for already life licensed prospects, already securities licensed prospects, and then a thank you. But teammates, on this next slide, you'll see there is so much more to come. There are a ton of campaigns that we're going to release on the prospecting that I just talked about. But what is already released are the first 2 on the top of that campaigns, the IRA season and the RRSP season. So make sure when you get that email, you enable those campaigns so that we reach out to your clients and encourage them to get those investments completed, and so much more as you see on that, including landing pages. So I only have a few more minutes here, teammates. I want to talk to you about My Primerica because I really believe, I just talked to you about Rep Marketing Center, My Primerica, and the strategy that you create across the kitchen table through the F&A. We want to be able to connect all of those conversations. And when we can have all of these tools work on your behalf, it's going to offer you what you need to follow up and have a client that's even more engaged. So we've kind of adjusted our philosophy, our vision a little bit on My Primerica. And here's what it is, right? We are focused now really on empowering families to achieve that financial security. Obviously, they begin to do that with life insurance, but investments are so key to continue through and really to develop that strategy. But we want them to be able to make their dreams possible and use informed decision-making tools, the same tools you use with them through the F&A in My Primerica. And then we want to give you visibility when they use those tools, but we want them to achieve their financial goals. But while they're doing all of those great things and we're connecting those conversations, most importantly, we're deepening the relationship with you. And so our first step in this was really to optimize My Primerica. And the good news is we didn't have to create a separate app that they download. They just have to go to myprimerica.com and it's completely optimized no matter the device. So they may be on a PC, they may be on an iPad, they may be on a mobile device. They all work and they work beautifully. So on the next slide, you'll see we're in beta test right now. And teammates, I'm so excited. We have added investment account balances to My Primerica. So in addition to their life insurance, because we have complete parity in the sites, but we also have investment account balances. We have some interactive financial calculators, much more to come, but life insurance, saving for retirement, debt payoff, e-delivery and paperless communications, they can opt into that there. There's a language toggle that changes it from English to Spanish. I mean, all kinds of good stuff inside My Primerica. But what's coming in 2021? Beneficiary changes, payment enhancements, and Spanish translations. So much more. All right, teammates. I mean, Glenn has challenged us to be bold in 2021. And I believe we can continue to grow our sales force at new levels. As much success as we have experienced, I don't think we've seen anything that we're about ready to do. Dream bigger, teammates. We are all in for you this year. And I'll tell you what, the leadership on this RVP call today, absolutely phenomenal. The next speaker, I was so excited when I called him when they rolled over $1 million. I probably talked a little too long, but I was so excited for them. They had rolled over like 5 diamonds in 6 or 8 months. I mean, it was insane. And since they've gone over $1 million, they've rolled over 4 more. Give it up for the incredible leadership and my good friend, Jeff Mallard.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Julie. This has been unbelievable. I have a slide that I prepared for you guys for the first part of my talk. But as you're looking at, before we bring that up, I always got to thank God for just waking me up this morning. Secondly, for waking me up with a choice today. I choose to work Primerica, build myself a business in opposed to working with somebody else, building them a daggone business. We definitely got to give thanks, like everybody else has done before us, to the amazing leadership of the home office. We got Glenn, Peter, Bobby, and Julie all doing amazing things. And I'm sure they have help as well, because they certainly couldn't do the things that they do by themselves. We thank the ALC and the mentorship that comes along with that. But I want to get right into my talk, guys. But before I do, I want to let you guys know the reason why I'm pulling up this slide. I'm going to call this back down memory lane, guys, because I just remember we're talking to regional vice presidents, and all of us are from different walks of life. We've had different experiences, different levels of success, but none of us jumped in here as regional vice presidents, all right? We all had a starting point, and I believe that we all need to keep that childlike enthusiasm as to what it was like when we first went regional vice president. So I'm going to share with you guys how it is that my wife and I keep our childlike enthusiasm. So first of all, in terms of how we got recruited into the business, we were not a field training appointment. We were actually prospected by a young lady. She gave us her business card. She told us that we could join the business and make additional income on a part-time basis. And then so we moved forward. We got an appointment, and we decided we were going to move forward because Joe Ward came with her and recruited us. Now, we went district in our first 30 days. I do want to point this out. You guys are all regional vice presidents, so I'm sure you heard before that if you ask a room full of regional vice presidents, now I'm not in a position to do that on this format, right? But if I asked you guys, how many of you guys went district in your first 30 days, statistics would say that over 98% of you guys would say in the first 30 days. Now watch this here. When we went district, that should have put Katrina up to division, but she ended up quitting. She decided that maybe it was too rough or it was too difficult. I don't know what it was, but she quit. So the thing is, somebody behind you, they didn't quit. You guys didn't think it was too hard. You didn't think it was too uncomfortable, at least to get to regional vice president. All right. And so after this situation with Katrina, we went division very rapidly. We became regionals very rapidly. We will be Joe Ward. This was the talk. We will be Joe Ward's first regional vice presidents. We started getting notoriety, obviously, in the Evans Extreme Dream Team. Our amazing upline was at the Fast Start schools. So we were getting recognition there. Was getting recognition, obviously, in the base shop. We even started getting recognition on a higher level after the state. So we started dominating the state as regionals, and then we started getting recognized on company trips. We started getting recognized nationally, and I promise you guys, that childlike enthusiasm was there and is still here because the base shop was excited. That's how your base shop feels about the next regional vice president that should be coming out, right? But I tell you what, there's always a challenge when people are moving up the ladder. They're deciding to become regional vice president. And for me, I see it as one or two things. One of you either have a building challenge or you have an investment license challenge. For my wife and I, we didn't have a challenge building. Our team didn't have a challenge building. We had an investment license challenge. So I'm going to just share with you guys real quickly some of the things that took place as we were fighting to get our investment license. It took us 6.5 years, 7 years to become regional vice presidents, but we were not the first regional vice president, right? Derek and Yolanda Palmer was the first. And then somebody I recruited by myself by the name of Jamal Muhammad. Certainly Coach Ward trained him, but he went regional vice president and 2 other RVPs went under him, right? Then we had Momina Abdul Malik, somebody I recruited myself. She went regional vice president. Then our very own son and his daughter went regional vice president, the great Cam Cooper. So I'm counting about 7, maybe 8 regional vice presidents that went before me. See, these are the things that I'm remembering. I don't know what you went through to go regional vice president, but I remember our houses being downsized and foreclosed and selling our motorcycles down to 1 car, then no cars, right? I remember pawning our wedding rings. That was devastating, right? But these were decisions that we have to keep making to move forward in the business to become a regional vice president. But thank God for our RVP introducing us to what's called self-improvement. I heard of reading books before, but I never understood why you read books like this. Is for self-improvement. That's to improve yourself. Here's just a few of the books that were recommended to me. I'm recommending to you as well. But thank God for those. But also you got to think of the things that you say to yourself, not just what people say to you. So I want to talk real quickly about sayings, right? So there's a lot of sayings you guys have probably heard of. The one on this one I'm going to point out is the optimist versus the pessimist. You either looking at the glass as half empty or half full. How are you looking at the glass as a regional vice president right now? So just to further this discussion before I get into the final thing is I came up in the base shop in my time of despair, my own daggone phrase that kept me going. And that is that everybody who deserves a turn will get a turn unless they step out a turn. And I knew for sure I wasn't going to give up me and my wife's turn because we had to be closer to winning than losing. So here's the final point I'm gonna make in terms of these illustrations here. And then after that, we're gonna go into my final piece, right? I've had great mentors. Alvin and Sharon Earl mentors us. Obviously, we had Mike and Regina Evans right there. We were coached by the great Joe Lord, man. But this gentleman here, the great Albert McEwen, helped us to get an office, our first office for the co-op headquarters. If you could pull up the next slide, when he inked the contract on that office, we didn't have the leasing power to do it. We were looking at the parking lot saying, oh my God, we got to fill this parking lot. But then because we put our heads together as the co-op, and we'll be talking about that in a second, we start filling the parking lot. And that means that the offices were full. Now, that was before the COVID. Somebody talked about what Peter Schneider talked about, the pivot. Let's pivot to the next slide, right? Because we're in the post-COVID era. We're after people have understood that we gotta make some decisions. So there's a book I'm gonna recommend to you guys if you haven't read it yet, if you're struggling with Zoom, guys, and that is Who Moved My Cheese, right? So the last thing I want to share with you guys is our regional vice president team. As Julie pointed out, some explosions have happened before the COVID and since the COVID, and we prepare to continue to explode our teams. So here's the thing I want to talk about, guys, as I had my time set, but I didn't push set. So I'm sure Travis will be put me on that. So here's the thing, guys. The co-op now has 20 regional vice presidents. Now that's 7 first generations, and that's 13 second generations. Now watch this here. My wife and I, we're the coaches of the co-op, but we also have the great coach, Tamika Saunders, who's an NSD, who's the coach of the Prosperous Dynasty, her and her RVPs. Then we're blessed to have our son, Jeff and Tierra Ricardo, SVPs. They're coaches of the Closest Nation, their very own hierarchy. Then we have down in Texas, right? SVPs, Coach Reggie and Charity Reed with Team Exceed down in Texas. And then my first generation RVPs that we all roll on Monday. So that's really 4 branches that comprise of all the production that you all see as a hierarchy. But there's a lot of levels of leadership. I'm just telling you guys that what we've done. So the main reason why you want to become a regional vice president, y'all probably heard this before, is because then and only then can you now promote regional vice presidents. Our goal as a regional vice president team, the reason I'm telling you guys this, I know what our goals are, but do you have goals? There is a national convention coming up. What is your goal by the daggone convention? Our goal is to promote no less than 10 regional vice presidents between now and the daggone company's dome trip or the company's convention. What is your goal? Or are you just working from day to day? All right. And then so Primerica moves as the RVP teams moves. I'll say that again. Primerica moves as the RVP teams do. And so, ladies and gentlemen, whether you recognize this or not, we are it. We are the front line for Primerica, a major company, the biggest company in North America that has more people making over $1 million in income, and we're the front runners, right? So in 2020, let's all make it our sworn duties, guys, to make this contract look attractive. Understand that there's 4 phases for the business or for your base shop. One is the attractive phase. That means you're doing less than 20 by 20. So you got to do what you got to do to get it over there. The building phase, right? You're doing 20 by 20 up to 50 by 50 with your production. Now the promotion phase, you're running 50 by 50 or more without your production. Now you can promote regional vice presidents. And the rebuilding phase means that you don't see the next 3 regional vice presidents. So it's time for you to get back in there and build up some more daggone leaders. So 2 last things, and I'm gonna introduce our next speaker, right? One is this, guys. Either you're getting Primerica esteem in 2021, or you're keeping your Primerica esteem in 2021. You know what that means already. You know what you need to do to get Primerica esteem. That means the things you're not doing. And you know what you need to do to maintain your Primerica esteem, meaning the things that you are doing. And so it's with great pleasure that we get a chance to introduce somebody that Coach Ward found out about STEAM when we were in the base shop. He came back so excited. All he talked about for the next 6 weeks was Daryl Halls in the STEAM process and how to get extra names and numbers. And as a result of that, you're now listening to number 98 myself, but hearing from another $1 million earner, national sales director, the great Daryl and Connie Halls.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate that. You know, we've been here for 37 years. Daryl and I are going to have our 42nd wedding anniversary next week. And we've been here for 37 years of that. We've been with this company. And I just want to talk about being grateful. And no matter what is happening in your life, be grateful. And that's helped me so much. And 37 years with the company, and I'm so glad that I'm so grateful that Daryl convinced me to join this company, because I didn't want to do it. And we did it, and we've been here all these years. And I just want to take before I forget, a minute to thank our uplines. I'm grateful for them, the Youngers, the Buissons, the Stricklands, the Buissons. They've changed our lives. They've changed our lives. I want to thank our awesome RVP team. Not only are they great leaders, but they're just great people, and we're so grateful for them. And I want to take a moment to shout out new $200,000 earners, Miguel and Griselda Godinez on our team. And then to talk about, just to share that over 37 years that we've been through so many things with this company, as you can imagine. We were pretty new when Art Williams retired from the company, and we were afraid. We didn't know if the company was going to stay, if it was going to make it. And that was one of our first experiences with just turbulence in the company. And all through, Art retired, then the market crashes, 9/11, 2008, the real estate bust, all of those things. And the company, and then now with COVID and the economy and everything else going on, our company not only always survives, but it thrives. And at every turn, we have had the right leadership in place. We're so grateful for Glenn and for Peter and for Julie right now, leading us through the turbulence that we're going through now. So the whole amazing home office team. I want to give a shout out to these guys doing this production right now. I know they work so hard to put content for all of us all the time, for inspiration and learning and information. And we're so grateful for them. For every leader in this company, anytime that we've had to go through a change or anything, every leader in this company who loves our company so much has risen to the occasion. And we're so grateful for every one of them. And, you know, as we've heard and seen, COVID has brought so many awesome things, including Zoom, to our company, and the changes have been so positive going forward. For us personally, I'm grateful for the life that Primerica has given us. We've never had to work for anyone in all these years with the company, the almost 37 years. Art always talked about somebody having a thumb on you. For us, that meant something. We never wanted anybody to have a thumb on us. We've had great experiences with the company. All the conventions, all the events, all the things over all these years. Too many to count. Company trips, travel to great places. We've taken our family to great places. That was one of the big things for me, is that we could take our family places. We've been to Europe, we've been to Australia, we've been to Kuala Lumpur and Bali, and taken our kids. And it's just been an awesome life. We've had beautiful homes. Right now we're in Palm Springs, and we're able to winter in Palm Springs, summer in Portland. And I don't know where you guys are all at, but it's 85 or I think about 85 or 86 degrees here. And it's just a beautiful place to spend the winter. And we're so grateful for that. We're grateful for freedom of time. Our time is so valuable. And I know that you've probably all heard the phrase, the best things in life aren't things. I really believe that. I think time and what we're able to do with our time is the most precious thing. I was able to be with my mother had Alzheimer's, and the last year or so of her life, I was with her for almost every day. And then I was with her when she passed. A couple of years later, my sister, who also had Alzheimer's, early onset Alzheimer's, she passed, and I was able to be with her because of our freedom of time for the last almost a week. Then when my friend's mother, my best friend since 5th grade, whose mother I'd known since 5th grade and been very close to, she also passed of Alzheimer's, just at the same time my sister did. And I was able to spend time with my friend and her mother as she passed. I mean, how do you replace those times? We've had the time with our granddaughter Maddie, our only grandchild. When she was born until the time she went to kindergarten, we had her 2 days a week at least, and that time is so valuable and precious to us. And I don't know, some of you may or may not know, Daryl a few years ago was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which started out as just a little tremor in one hand. And at the time we thought, oh, this is something we can deal with. We can do this. But as time has passed, we've realized it's not as easy as we thought it might have been. And we've learned more and we've experienced more. And now if you think about the things that we all take for granted, like buttoning buttons, brushing our teeth, using a knife and fork, texting. These are things that are really difficult. And then there are the things that you don't see, like not being able to swallow, or finding words, or once you do find your words, having a voice to talk. Those are just things that we take for granted. Anxiety and depression is part of Parkinson's disease. One thing I heard Michael J. Fox speaking a couple weeks ago, and he said with Parkinson's, and if you don't know, Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's. With Parkinson's, every step is a friggin' math problem. And what we're finding out is that that's absolutely the truth. But we're grateful, because what if Daryl was, say, an airline pilot or a surgeon, something like that, something where using his hands is everything to his job or his profession. Instead, we're business owners here. Each and every one of us has that opportunity to be a business owner. And because we own our own business, we have time, we have resources to pursue the treatments that are right for him. We can get the best. In the spring, this spring, he will be having a brain surgery, which costs $90,000 to $100,000, somewhere in there. And we don't know what part of that we will pay after insurance. But you know what? We're not worried about that. That's just a given. We're going to get that to alleviate symptoms. Elizabeth Koob talked last week on the leadership meeting, and she said we need to get bulletproof. She's absolutely right. We need to be bulletproof. We're grateful for ownership here. And each and every
You know, having the right word makes a big difference. So bear with me. I blame Parkinson's if I mess up, right? Listen, there was a family that wanted to take the whole family to Hawaii, and the problem was the grandfather said, "There's no way. I'm never getting on an airplane. I don't trust airplanes. You know, it's just not going to do it." Took months, and actually years to convince him to get on the plane to Hawaii with them. And when they got there, they went to their grandfather and they said, "So Grandpa, how was the flight?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I never put my weight down." Why do I bring that up? I want to assure you that you can afford to put your weight down in Primerica. A lot of RVPs have a plan B, right? I heard Arnold Schwarzenegger say a couple of days ago, he hates plan B. You can't have a plan B. You got to have a plan A and stick to it. And plan A is Primerica. There's nothing like Primerica. Nothing has ever delivered for us like Primerica. We're the most blessed people in the world. I love what's going on, the technology, the tools we have, better than ever. The company has backed us up at every point. You know, most companies, when you get old, they try to get rid of you. Most companies, when you get sick, they try to get rid of you. Most companies, if you slow down, they try to get rid of you. We've had just the opposite experience here. The support, the encouragement, the belief from Sandy McMantis on up has been unbelievable. We deliver for our clients. We over-deliver. We under-promise and over-deliver for the clients over and over and over again. And they do that for you as an RVP also. So I want to challenge you to take advantage of the moment. We have a chance to do something bigger than we've ever imagined before. And it doesn't matter where you're at. We've been small RVPs or we've been big RVPs. You know, we've seen this from every angle. But my message to you is don't be intimidated by anybody. People on this call intimidate me. They're doing so fantastic. But you can catch anybody, you can beat anybody, and you are literally one recruit away from an explosion. One recruit away from an explosion. So let me end with this. Zig Ziglar said, always remember that your present situation is not your final destination. The best is yet to come. So you get to hear from another fantastic new $1 million earner, breaking records, setting standards. Very, very proud of her, Mika Saunders.
Hello. Thank you so much, Daryl Halls. That was an amazing introduction and an awesome talk. Thank you for sharing your story, you all. So listen, I want to jump right into it. First thing, I just want to say thank you to the home office. I mean, you all have been on meetings for 2 days and you have been delivering. Thank you for all that you do. Thanks for selecting this amazing lineup to pour into us today. Shout out to the AALC, Women in Primerica, also my amazing uplines, Jeff and Lolita Mallard. Coach, you just did a phenomenal job laying it out. And also major shout out to my other upline, Mike and Regina Evans. Thank you for all you do. Great job kicking off this amazing event. I also got a shout out to the Prosperous Dynasty. Listen, I'm sure some of the RVPs on here, you don't have RVPs yet, but understand this. I heard once that, or I've heard plenty of times that as an RVP, our job is to promote RVPs. And so I am happy to say I am blessed to have 6 RVPs on this amazing meeting with us. So shout out to each and every one of you. My first 3, Cassandra Cortez, who's my best friend, guys. See, man, we talk about a warm market and getting to your warm market. Well, did we listen? I listened and got my best friend in, and now she's a regional vice president. Also, Danielle and Isaiah Wiggins, Maria Beecheray, Demira and Damian Bolden, Chrissy B, and also Tiana Prince Coakley. Thank you for all you do. Appreciate you all so much for following my leadership. So this is what I want to talk to you guys about. I want to talk to you guys about the keys to explosive growth, okay? The keys to explosive growth. As regional vice presidents, because this is all regional vice presidents, I'm sure each and every one of us, we want explosive growth. We don't want to continue to stay stagnant. We want to continue to get bigger and bigger day in and day out. Also month in and month out, week in and week out, year in and year out. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that. I got 4 quick points for you all. So the first point is what Kathy talked about a little bit earlier about keeping it simple. Okay, that's my first point. Keep it simple. Simplicity is the key. Right? Make sure that you have a simple presentation. Make sure you have a simple promotional guidelines, right? Make sure you understand that, hey, there's only 4 promotions in between rep and RVP. So make sure you keep it simple so your people know exactly what they're fighting for and what's next. Have simple incentives. Have a simple system, guys. We gotta have systems just like Ronnell talked about, but make sure that you keep it simple. The front end of your business and the back end of your business, both of those systems need to be simple so that your people can catch on to it. Also have a simple, consistent message, guys. Nothing confuses a team more than you having a different message every time you talk to your team. So make sure you keep your message simple and make sure you keep your message consistent as well. All right. The second point is going to be growth focused. Okay. Be growth focused. Are you measuring your growth? Right? Because we know that when we focus on something, it's going to grow. So you got to be focused on growth, guys. So focus on the growth. See, I knew for a fact that I wanted month over month growth, year over year growth, right? In order to grow, you must focus on it, but you also must work on it. Right? See, what is growth to you? In order to get the growth that I wanted new RVPs, new district leaders popping out, right? I wanted to make sure that everything got bigger year in and year out. Recruiting, are you measuring it? Did you look at your 2019 recruits over your 2020 recruits? Were you fighting to beat that number? Did you grow? Because if we're not growing, we're dying, right? Recruiting, codes, you should be looking at that. Personal cash, you should be looking at that as well. Is your cash flow growing? Right? Are you growing as a person? Personal growth. You must grow as a person because as your team gets bigger, you must become a better leader. So you must grow as a person as well. Your savings, your net worth, did that grow? Your RVP promotions, your team cash, did that grow? So you have to make sure that you're looking at all of that, man. See, some of us on here, we need to put into our mind, hey, in order for me to grow, I must focus on going RVP again. I must put that into my mindset. I need to go RVP again. I know we have some new RVPs on here, but hey, play a mind trick on yourself. I need to go RVP again. Go after it again like you're trying to get that RVP contract, right? Because so many of us need to grow. Man, major shout out to my 3 RVPs that grew over the 2020. Man, 2020 was so crazy. So many challenges, so many things that people went through. But man, in this business, so many people grew. We had Cassandra Cortez go from 100,000 to 250,000 in income. We had Tiana Prince, who just went to RVP in June. They went from 30,000 in income to over $200,000 in income. We had Demira and Damian Bolden, who went from 50,000. They just went RVP in February. They went from 50,000 in 2020 at the beginning of 2020, and now they're over 400,000 in income. I am so proud of them. Right? And then obviously with all of that, that excitement going on, I was able to go from $500,000 to over $1.2 million in income. Why? Because we focus on growth. Why? Because that's something that we're talking about all the time. With 6 RVPs now, by the end of next year, we're focused on making sure we have over 20 RVPs in our hierarchy to make sure we continue to what? To continue to grow. So we must have a growth focus, guys. My third point is I want you to gain clarity. What do I mean? I want you to know exactly what you want. Ask yourself, are you clear on exactly what you want out of this business? See, with all of the information being thrown at you, everybody talking about different things, you have to make sure you are completely sure on what you want. And that something may change. Every year it may change, right? As you get a new promotion or hit another diamond, hey, it may change. But in this moment, what do you want in this moment? What do you want to get out of this year, this month? You must be completely clear on what you want, okay? So I encourage you to get clear on that. I challenge you to get clear on that. I pray for clarity, guys. I pray to God for clarity. Like, show me exactly the way I need to go. Show me the exact path that I need to go on, right? Clarity is power, guys. So what do you want? A few things that I wanted. I knew I wanted big recruiting. And I still want big recruiting. I know I want a lot of people doing a little bit. See, Coach Malley used to tell me about that. Have a lot of people doing a little bit, a few doing a lot. And I didn't understand it at first, but as I continue to do the business, I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want, because I want a consistent business, right? But see, how did I come up with these things? I came up with these things because I had to figure out my management philosophy. So as RVPs, new RVPs, you're really who I'm talking to. You need to know your management philosophy, right? My management philosophy is recruiting, everything else comes. And so it doesn't matter who's saying this, who's saying that. I know for a fact with recruiting, everything else comes. And so you got to make sure you have that management philosophy that keeps you on your game, right? With recruiting, everything else comes, all right? And then my last point, you all, is going to be unity. Okay, I want you all to remain unified. Okay, remain unified. Remain unified with your downlines. Remain unified with your hierarchy. Remain unified with your team, because alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And so I believe the power, the true power that I have with my RVPs is that we remain unified. We speak the same language. And before I had RVPs, it was with my base shop, speaking the same language, teaching the same things, right? If you hear any of my RVPs speak, you'll know they're one of my RVPs because we speak the same language. We're on the same path. And so I encourage you, RVPs, again, I'm talking to the new RVPs mostly, remain unified. See, for us, and I want to give you something that you can take back if you feel as though it may fit into your business style, but we make sure that we do all things together, right? We have Saturday trainings. Each RVP holds a different training, right? We have a hierarchy training. I hold it every Tuesday and Thursday. The whole hierarchy comes together, right? That builds confidence for the newer agents. That builds self-confidence for them to go out there and do the business, right? It also allows for us in this pandemic, as people are getting lazy, and as they were getting lazy, it gets them up and going in the morning, right? We also do a closeout call every month as a hierarchy. We do it together, and then we do our opportunity meetings on Zoom all together. So we remain unified, and we make sure that we have a growth focus as a whole, man. And as we do that, man, we continue to do more and more. And I'm so proud of what this team is doing, guys. So make sure that you remain unified with your team. We remain unified as a company, and we continue to take this thing to the next level, guys. And listen, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our next speaker. It is with honor that I get to bring him up. Definitely admire him and his amazing wife, you all. He has 2,000 codes through his hierarchy. He runs a super qualified base shop, and also he's been $1 million earner for 27 years. We're going to go ahead and bring up the awesome, amazing Mr. Jerry Beyer. You got the ball.
Thank you, Mika. What a great job you did. Great job to all the speakers, by the way. This has been phenomenal. I was thinking about, as I was hanging out and watching the meeting, I've been on since the beginning, love the meeting, by the way. I was thinking about how I used to have to go on an airplane and travel to Chicago in the middle of the winter, and I hated every minute of how cold it was in Chicago. So I am happy as could be that I'm sitting here in my home able to talk to you today. Glad you're here, fired up that you're an RVP. We got promoted to RVP in our 13th month in the business. We were paid $14,500 and have never been paid less than that. You have a money-making opportunity, a serious money-making opportunity. I guess the formula for success is the financial services industry, biggest, most profitable industry that there is, Primerica, the greatest financial services distribution company in North America, and you as a regional vice president. What a money-making opportunity. Think about that. Our opportunity is defined as the best because we say, fill a need the public has, and you have the greatest opportunity. But not just because of what we do, but how about our business model, where you learn it for sole purposes. If you really understand our opportunity and want to capitalize on it, you learn it for sole purposes of recruiting, training, and developing and promoting other people. You learn it to duplicate your efforts and leverage your time. And when you do that, that's how you can sell yourself on big income. That's the key to our opportunity. The reason we have 111 people that earn over $1 million a year is because you can learn it and teach it to other people. And I love Bonnie Jardy's talk earlier today, where she talked about she lives in this town of 30,000 people, but she doesn't, right? We're not limited. We can recruit all over the country. We have a national business. You and I are the CEOs of our own companies within the company without territorial limitations. And I think that's a phenomenal part of our business. You think about leverage and you think about how you can get wealthy because you have a leveraging opportunity. And with that understanding, your job is to learn this so you can teach it to other people. I would spend 50 to 80% of my time on building your distribution. I love what Mika said about growth, focusing on growth. I would spend 50 to 80% of my time on building distribution, which is prospecting and recruiting. And prospecting post-COVID will be different than prospecting pre-COVID. We're not just meeting people in the grocery store anymore. We're not just calling people on business cards anymore. We're not just using resumes anymore. We are not limited to how we can prospect. In fact, we can get so much done now because of technology. We say bigger, better, faster today. If your goals were in pre-COVID, pre-virtual technology times to earn $100,000 a year, I would submit to you that they should be bigger today. If your goals were pre our understanding for how to use virtual technology to build our business, I would say that you could stretch them and maybe even double them up. You have the ability to do it bigger, better, faster. Think about how much more prospecting you can do. And if you're making that transformation, if you're making that adjustment, if you're adapting to the times that we're on, it's not the same company. It's a bigger company. And every business has standards. Every business. Your business has to have standards. Now, I like what Mika said about systems, and I like what we hear about keeping it simple. I like that. I think it's very important. And I also think you need to have standards. Standards are the level of play that we're all supposed to be running. What we want to strive to do so we can be great examples for other people to follow. Our personal examples are so important. This is a monkey see, monkey do business. It is a lead by example business. And our personal examples are so important. Here's some of the standards that we talk about just to see if we can help you out a little bit. We talk about 4x5. I think you hear a lot of leaders talking about 4x5 because how can you not do one a week, right? It's one more than the joke goes, one more than a dead man. One a week is something that everybody should do. And if you think about the one a week opportunity a district leader, somebody could earn $20,000 or $30,000 a year, depending on how they run their business and how many licenses they have as a district leader part-time doing one a week. As a regional leader and regional vice president with good securities, you could earn 3 and 4 and 5 times that. There are many regional leaders in this company that are wearing the ring, RVPs that are wearing the ring, and they do 1 or 1.5 or 2 a week. You don't have to do much more than that to get your business off the ground. A 4x5 standard is a good duplicatable standard. If everybody does one a week, you can think about you plus 4 people have a 20 by 20 base shop, a super qualified base shop with just a few people, right? You could think about having a half a dozen people. You now have a $30,000 base shop. 4x5 is a good standard to play. That's basically 1 recruit a week, which drives everything. See, it's recruit and train. You never have to worry about or focus on the sale. All you have to worry about is recruiting. If you recruit 1 person a week and you field train them, you're going to have production. Never have to worry about that. And what is standard to duplicate? Think about it this way. You plus 3, you plus 5, you plus 8, you plus 10, and build your business with that kind of a mentality. And then you have to start thinking about double-digit recruiting. Double-digit recruiting, recruiting 10 people in your business on a monthly basis. Well, if you get 1 a week, you only need a couple, 3 others that do a little bit. If you do 1 a week and 2 others get 1 a week, you're there. It's solid. It's absolutely guaranteed. You'll have that. It works like a charmer. What I think is that you play a business that double-digit recruits, and you put yourself on that RVP game plan as a new person, and you put yourself on the ring path as an RVP. Conditioning yourself, doing it over and over and over again is how you grow your business. This is a business that's built by being consistent. Grant Cardone says, show up every day. You show up every day, you got a better chance of doing it. If you prospect every day when you show up, then you're going to recruit, you're going to build, and you're going to grow like Mika talked about it. Growing your business is so important because there's so much money on the table. Each and every one of us should be making a lot of money. I think our business is the greatest business in the world. I never had a problem earning a living, $15,000 in my 13th month, never less than that, 27 years of over $1 million income. And all we ever did was show up every day and focus on prospecting and recruiting, which means the majority of our time, however many hours a day you work, I'm always asking people, how many hours a day do you work? However many hours a day that you work, the majority of that time should be spent prospecting and recruiting. And if you're doing that, you're going to build a big business. Hey, listen, I think we should get hungrier. I think we should work on stretching our dream muscle. This is right here. This is 100,000 fake American dollars. That's what this is right here. This is 100,000 fake American dollars. I can hold it in my hand. And, you know, when you think about it for a second, holding $100,000 in your hand, if you can hold it in your hand, it can't be an impressive annual income, right? It doesn't weigh much. It's pretty light. That can't be enough for an annual income. We have to stretch our vision. We have to start thinking about getting a stack like this every month or every couple of weeks, right? We have to start thinking that bigger is possible and that we can grow and we can earn more money. Our business opportunity is unlimited. We're crazy if we limit our thinking. We're crazy if we limit our beliefs as to what's possible. As far as I'm concerned, after watching 15 new people going over $1 million in income and 3 just in the last week or so, I'm thinking that everybody could make $1 million a year. You might think I'm crazy because you're judging the future based on what you've done in the past. The future has nothing to do with what you've done in the past. What you want to be thinking about is you want to be thinking about what's possible every day and work towards what's possible. I believe you have the greatest opportunity. I hope you do. I believe you can make a fortune in the future. Hey, listen, one of the greatest leaders of the AALC, one of the greatest Circle of Champions members, an FAC council member, happened to have added 4 diamonds to his ring last year. He is a $1.4 million earner, and I know you'd be as pumped up if you were Joe Ward. Let's welcome the great Joe Ward.
Hey, thanks so much, Jerry, and we really appreciate that introduction. But I want to let everybody, all you RVPs, know that $100,000 that he was holding, don't believe that. That money was real. And don't try to go to his house. That guy knows karate. Hey, listen, we're not trying to look cool out here today. We've got a very unsightly eye infection, and that's why we're wearing these shades. But it still kind of works for me. But listen, we want to just kind of shout out Glenn, Peter, Bobby, Julie, everybody at the home office. And it was said, I'm so excited about my AALC teammates. I did a talk about 2 years ago to the AALC, and I said that the AALC is the real Wakanda. And man, we are living that today. Shout out to the 4 individuals in the last few weeks that went over $1 million in income. Eric and Amber Davis, Angie and Randy Hogan's, Rob and Minnie Davis, but especially the Phillips family. That is so dear to all of us that job got done for Keith. We're excited about it. 8 out of the 15 MDEs that occurred in 2020 were of African-American descent. And I'm just proud to be you guys' teammates. Shout out our great uplines, Mike and Regina Evans, did such an unbelievable job kicking off this meeting today. Our hierarchy exploded in 2020, and we're blessed and grateful to be in business with you guys. Too many to name, but Sheikh and Amina Matthews became senior leaders, over $250,000 in income. We had 2 people that went over $500,000, Jeff and Tierra Ricardo, Cam and Tasha Cooper. And then, of course, you heard from 2 phenomenal $1 million earners that went over in 2020, Jeff and Lolita Mallard, and the great Mika and Jonelle Saunders. And of course, as it was said, the love of my life and new wife, I did get married in 2020. We're actually number 84 $1 million earners in the company, and we got married on August the 4th. That way, I would never forget my anniversary. But yes, we did hit 14 diamonds. We had 4 of our vice presidents in a 60-day period of time that went over 100,000. But the thing I love about it is these are individuals that have been with me a while. They've been around a while, like some of you regional vice presidents that are on here, and you're saying to yourself, is it gonna work out for me? Is this the place for me? Well, I'm promising you, because it happened for the Caluettes, it happened for the Dades, it happened for the Greens, and it happened for the Holders. Every single one of them, regional vice presidents, have been here over a decade. Yes, Primerica is a place where you can do something fast. You can accomplish something great in a short period of time. But maybe this was your season to do something at this time, just like those people. Well, listen, how did we have such an explosive 2020? And the reason we did is because Joe and Melisha Ward decided to go build a big base shop again. And you see, what happened is in September of 2019, I reached out to the great Frank Dillon. And I asked Frank to mentor me. I said, Frank, I want to run $100,000 base shop for a decade and promote the RVPs that come out of that. And I asked him to mentor me, and he decided that he would mentor me. And I went and did a school for him in November of 2019. I spent 3 days with one of the greatest base shop builders this company has ever seen. And one of the things that he did is he poured belief into me. He said, Joe, you're going to run a $100,000 base shop 4 months from now. Now, here's what you need to understand, RVPs. In November, that same November, my base shop did $18,500. Now, this might sound a little bit familiar to some of the RVPs that are out there. And Frank Dillon told me, well, Joe, you're going to run 100 again because we've run an $80,000 to $100,000 base shop in the past. He said, you're going to run it in 4 months. See, sometimes RVPs, you need to lend your ear to the leaders that are invested in your success. See, if your leader tells you you can do something great, believe them. See, but you've got to give them your mind, your heart, and your life so that you can go to the next level. And that's what we decided to do. And so what we did is we got that Keep It 100 base shop, right? That's what I changed the name of my base shop to Keep It 100. And we went with what Frank was telling us. We got 4 action steps for you guys that we want to share with you for you to move your business in 2021. I want you to revive the crusade. Revive the crusade. That's what we did. We believe in something called buy term and invest the difference, not buy some life insurance and spend your money somewhere else. We went back to the basics. We worked our assets off in 2020. We started coaching again, leading our leaders again. We got competitive again. I wanted to be at the top of the leader bulletin again, and not because of my hierarchy. I said I was going to show my hierarchy that we can go build something great. Look at this. For the year, we ended up number 93 in the company in recruiting. You're not impressed with that. We recruited 530 people, but guess what? We recruited 530 real people. Wink, wink. 530 real people, right? We then turned around, we're number 23 in code numbers. We got to get them licensed. We got to get them licensed. We got to get them licensed. We got 101. We ended up number 14 in premium. We did $1.2 million. My mentor, Frank Dillon, said, you can run a $100,000 base shop again. And that's what we did. We also ran a 75 to 80% QBI. We're running a business. RVPs run a business. I don't want to be impressed with how much money you made. I want to be impressed with how much money you kept. Now watch this part. We ended up number 23 in IRA cases. Buy term and invest the difference. We opened up accounts, right? Buy term and invest the difference. We got to get excited about the crusade again. We got to get excited about educating our people again. We ended up number 23 in team cash. My base shop, not my income. My base shop made $391,000 in 2020. We focused on the webinar, number 2. Our webinar dynamics. We got a 50-50 webinar. See, if you get on our webinar, it's not going to be opportunity. And by the way, we do life insurance and investments. It's a financial empowerment, a financial education, a financial roadmap for you to make it long term. And see, the scripture says, for those who have ears, let them hear. See, I approach our recruiting business with our business is not for everybody. But if you're entrepreneurially minded, it's a great place for you to land. Number 3, we raised the standards. It's been mentioned a couple of times. We raised the standards in the Keep It 100 base shop. Zoom changed the game. 10,000 personal premium is the new 5,000. It's the new 5,000. 20,000 is the new 10. See, 6 months out of the year of 2020, I wrote 20,000 personal. Now, I was making $100,000 a month, whether I wrote anything, but I wanted to be in the game with my people. I wanted to show them. I wanted to remove all excuses. See, RVPs, your key leaders are going to do half of what you do. So if you're out here doing 5,000 personal, they're going to do 2,500, and that's not going to get the job done. Number 4 was probably the biggest thing. And I'm not trying to make this church for you, but the scripture says that, listen, if you don't give him praise and honor, the rocks will cry out. What happened is we got our hearts right. April 2020, we took 10 base shop leaders and we went on a corporate fast for 10 days together. At the end of that, we had our biggest base shop month ever. We did 168,000. I since then have done a 1-day fast every single week since then. And that's why our business is exploding, and it's going to explode for you. I have the distinct honor to bring up a $2 million earner, a Wall of Famer, a Circle of Champions member, and a legend in the Midwest. You guys are going to get a treat. Closing out this meeting today appropriately is the unbelievable SNSD Chris Coon.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Always love hearing from you. You fired me up. I'm ready to go. But hey, just glad to be part of this Zoom. Finish it up here. And I just want to challenge everybody. Okay, it's 2021. We're actually 2 weeks into 2021 already. Okay, it's go time. Everybody wants a better life. Everybody, 2 weeks ago said they're going to change. Okay, here's what they're going to change. They're going to lose weight. They're going to, do whatever. Okay, everybody did. Most people have already started waning on those commitments to themselves. I'm challenging you. Okay, it can't be that kind of year. It can't be that kind of decade. Whatever your past is, we got to change. We got to take it up a level. If we're going to take advantage of this year. Okay, the magic of Primerica is it always works, but you've got to get focused. I love what Jerry was talking about. Okay, you've got to get focused. You've got to personally make it happen. You've got to get rid of the distractions. Okay, I got it. Okay, you got this going on. You got this going on. You got this distraction. Everybody does. The difference between the people that have a great year, a great life, a dream life, and the also-rans is they don't let that stuff keep them from accomplishing what they want to accomplish. Our business is so predictable. I don't know of a business that's more predictable than our business. Okay, it always works. Elizabeth and I, for the senior leadership meeting, we were down at a studio in Fort Lauderdale, and Willie Lorraine were there. And they grew their income by 1.4 million in 2020. Okay, I mean, you're a hero in Primerica if you just make 1.4 million. They grew their income by 1.4 million. And it's great to look at what they do now and say, oh, this is awesome and so on. But really what you want to do is you want to back up and look at what they did to accomplish that. And I love Jerry, talking about the fundamentals. That's exactly what the Willie and Lorena did. Okay, they're just reaping the rewards of that. They, for 10 years, got 4 directs a month. Okay, and then they've just focused on getting people licensed. 4 directs a month, get people licensed, and you do that for 10 years. Now, the challenge most people have is they just don't do it long enough. Probably everybody on this Zoom meeting has done that before. But how many months straight have you done it? That's what determines your ultimate income. How many months straight have you done it for a year? Have you done it for 2 years? Have you done it for 3 years? Okay, you do it for 3 years, you're probably going to be $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year or more. Okay, it doesn't take forever. What it takes is you being disciplined with your schedule and you getting the licenses. I just want to shout out the leadership meeting had 688 qualifiers. Think about this. That's 688 people that made $250,000 a year, in the year of 2020. That's up, okay? That's up from 300 just 7 years ago. From 300 to 688 in 7 years. Glenn said one of the major reasons why the company had such great growth in 2020 was because we had all the seasoned players on the field. All the up and comers are kind of always on the field, every year. Okay. But when the seasoned players get on the field, the VPs get on the field, then there's magic that happens. So the question I would ask everybody here, if the leaders that have been here the longest and are paid the most are crazy excited about the future of our company, crazy excited about what's going on, crazy excited to be in the game, how much more should you be? There is a couple of things going on right now that I believe completely changed the game. And when you look at, I just read the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and according to them, the average life insurance salesperson makes $67,780. They said the average investment salesperson makes $93,090. And they said the average mortgage loan officer makes $76,200. Now, every person in those industries, that's all they do. So, they can raise above the average, but that's all they can do. What if you were part of a company that you could do all those things for somebody and do it basically with the same people? Average, if you're just average, that's $246,000 a year. I love what Jerry's saying. We just don't sell this big enough. Can you imagine right now being able to bring somebody in our company and a couple of years down the road, if they're average, they make $246,000 a year? I don't even think we fully comprehend the average income of a VP 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now. If you get on it right now, and I don't care if you're making 80, if you're making 800, or whatever you're making, okay, you can't miss this moment. I just was talking to the company. Obviously, they're accelerating the mortgage program, more states, faster, more licenses, and so on. I've been told that could grow in the next few years, maybe next 3 or 4 years, to 30% of the total field comp. I mean, doesn't that blow you away? I mean, that's like, well, let's just do some math. Let's just say in a few years, life insurance is $700 million in cash to the field. Okay, I don't know how many years, but it's kind of inevitable. If we keep growing, it's going to happen pretty quickly. And let's say the money to the field is $600 million from securities. Well, 30% of a total is probably about $500 million for mortgages. I don't know if we'll do that or not, but why not? $500 million from mortgages, that's $1.8 billion to the field. Almost double 2020. What's the average VP making when we have that going on? How many VPs do we have when that goes on? But the better question is, how much of it are you going to get? Or how much of it you're going to leave on the table? McDonald's started doing breakfast, back 1972. Up to that point, they basically served lunch and dinner. So that was a major change, major addition, equipment, training, personnel, et cetera. And probably was kind of a pain in the butt for the owners. Okay, I don't know, but my suspicion is it was. It might have been, So what if I had been a McDonald's franchise owner in 1972? By the way, that was like their 30th year in business. So, they've been kind of cruising along one way. What if I had been a franchise owner and I said, I don't even like breakfast. Okay, I'm going to kind of sit this one out. Well, fast forward that to today, when not only do they serve breakfast, but it's such a powerful addition to their profit, they serve it all day. How much would I be costing my family by not serving breakfast? Okay, I mean, maybe a better question is, how much less would my business be worth because of that decision? I'm going to challenge you to recognize what's going on right now, okay? About 25 years ago, a great leader in Primerica named Darrell Taylor showed me the S-curve, okay? And the S-curve is, if you think of it, it's basically a curve of successful business, okay? There's a bunch of years where most businesses, whether you're talking about a Procter & Gamble or you're talking about an Amazon or you're talking about a Walmart or whatever, most businesses, there's a bunch of years, when they first start, they're just kind of getting their sea legs, okay? Maybe they're learning training, or maybe they're getting financially solvent, or maybe their leadership is developing, or their systems are developing. But most businesses, that's what's going on. And most businesses fail that test. Okay, most businesses go under, or they stay a mom and pop and they just kind of go along, pay the mom and pop some money, and then they go under. But a few, like very, 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 very few, go from that to a major player in their industry, okay? And then they take, 90% of what their potential market share is, okay? And if you can catch that curve, okay, it's kind of like compound interest. You can catch it right here as it's doing this, you're going to get flat wealthy. I don't care if you've been here for 37 years like myself and Joe Ward. And if you haven't got all you came here for, now is your time. Okay, you don't want to miss what's going on right now. I'm going to submit to you, we're right here. and it's going like this, okay? You know, I mean, let me just give you some numbers to prove that, okay? The first 24 years of our company, I think Julie mentioned this, first 24 years of our company, we developed, the company promoted out 34 new $1 million earners. Not bad for, you know, a 24-year-old company. But the really cool thing is the next 14 years, we promoted out 34 new million. So what we did in 24 years, we did in 14. And then the next 6 years, okay, 2015 to 2020, we promoted out, we had 39 new $1 million earners. 24, 14, 6. Does that feel like a curve hitting you? Okay. I mean, and Jerry said it, okay. I mean, 12 in 2020, I think we've had 5 or 6 just in the last 14 days. I'm going to suggest that we're going to have 39 new $1 million earners total for 21 and 22. In 2 years, 2021 and 2022, we'll develop more new $1 million. We'll have more people go to $1 million a year than we did for the first 24 years, okay, of our company. Don't let this S curve, don't miss this curve, okay? You could get stone wealthy. I don't care if you're not making anything right now. You could get stone wealthy in the next few years. Let me just prove another point to you, okay? 95 billion in face amount, okay, last year, 109 billion this year, on our way to 200 billion. What's the payout on 200 billion? What does the field make on 200 billion? Okay, how many VPs could you promote with with that kind of growth? Security, 78 billion, on our way to 100 billion in the next couple of years, on our way to $1 trillion. Total licensing, 136,000. Okay, on our way to 200,000, on our way to 50% of our industry. Something's happening right now. You have never seen it before. I have never seen it before. I don't think you could paint a better picture than what we have right now to work with. The inevitability of our opportunity, the inevitability of Primerica. Okay, I mean, it just boggles my mind, okay? Don't be the one, okay, that misses this. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm scared to death I'm going to miss this. Okay, every day I'm waking up, I don't want to miss this. I don't know if you played any sports before, but winning the game, winning the big game, there's not too many better feelings out there, okay? Don't sub yourself out, okay, in the world championship game with 5 minutes left to go in the game. The goal is a dream life. Complete freedom, massive reoccurring income, massive reoccurring income from your VP team, and massive reoccurring income from your assets under management. Make sure that everything you do is moving your family closer to massive, passive, reoccurring income. Create a dream life. We've got to make a decision. History is full of individuals that were at the right place at the right time, and they missed it. We got to be all in, okay? If we pull together as a team, lock arms, and make this happen, we could double this thing in the next 3 years. We've got to make it count. I appreciate all of you. Appreciate you listening. Proud to be your teammate.